I think. Yeah, it's working now. Cool. All right, all right. This is not going to be the most fun stream we've ever had, I don't think.
No, I'd apologize in advance if we argue too much, but I feel like that's going to be the case.
Why did I think you were going to say that?
Well, we seem to hold different positions at this moment in time, so.
Yeah, maybe a bit. Just trying to optimize the pictures. There we go, that looks good. Oh, John Ball's in the chat saying, hello UK, where to start? Where to start? We're going to go live in just a few minutes, but we're just going on now, having a little chat before we come on. How about Sam Ellinger and Matt Ryan? I know Ryan has been awful, but Ellinger, he's not great. He's not great.
I don't know. I think at this point in time, if you're the Colts, it's been a bad season for you so far. I mean, you're 3-3-1, so you're plus 500, but I mean, in conference you're struggling, and your offense is really bad, and I think it's kind of at the point where it looks like the Jags and the Titans are better than they are, and it doesn't look like they're going to get to the 9-10 wins required to get a wild card. So the best thing you can do for the future of your franchise is test out your young quarterback, see whether he's it or not. Because if Sam Ellinger comes in and they win 5-6 games and maybe make a wild card or get near there, then all of a sudden the draft maybe becomes a little easier for you next year. If you think you've got your guy, you don't need a quarterback, then it helps if you just kind of run Matt Ryan through the season, continuing to be bad, then you don't know what you've got with Ellinger, then you've probably got to give up a pick for a QB in the draft. So just see what your young guy can do.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. The chance of Ellinger being it for me is just so small that
But you have
I
to
don't
take,
get it.
you're not going to get a better chance to find out. So you may as well take it.
Indeed, Fly Condor has said in the Twitch
I
chat
mean,
Ryan is hurt as well, but it's a permanent benching. It's not like he's coming back when he's healthy. So
let's face it, if we kind of had a similar sitch here and there was a young guy we were unsure of, he'd be starting now.
true, but there were questions asked 2 weeks ago about the return on Matt Ryan after he had a good game, and Reich came out and basically said he's been good for a third round pick. And I can't decide whether that was a backhanded compliment or not, but it was kind of faint praise in there, and 2 weeks later he's permanently benched. I think it's just
This is an owner's
weird.
decision. This is Jim Irsay's decision, not Reich's.
Yeah, yeah.
I've got no
Irsay,
sympathy for any of this with the Colts.
Irsay runs that franchise. It's his baby. He's watching it stagnate while he's in that. That division's awful, really, to put it lightly. And they are at the bottom. They are near the bottom of it. So, you need to get good quick because the Jags are going to get better. The Titans ain't going to suck till the end of time. And you figure the Texans might be coming out of their slump in a year or two. So you've got to you've got to act now, and you've got to act decisively. I don't feel like they signed off on the whole Matt Ryan thing. I think that was more of a head coach thing. He screwed up last year with Wentz. He's got it here, and he's finally putting his foot down.
Oh, Micro Mike is
Jim
in the
Irsay needs a
building
bit
as
of
Lions Nation
bit of
Unite.
Tim Boyle season. That
Oh, oh.
will sort Jim Irsay out. A bit of Tim Boyle season.
Steve,
Well,
you're allowed to swear in here, but you can't say Tim Boyle. Sorry, mate.
put it this way, like I said, if we had the same situation at the minute where we had a young quarterback just sort of sat there doing no, then he'd be playing now. Goff would be benched.
Harley Quinn's in there. Lions Nation Unite, aka Micro Mike's in the building. John Ball, Dat Fan Man, Grandizer, as well as Ash Soden, Fly Condor, and El Judderman as well. So getting packed in here, which is good stuff like this. Det Fan Man says, I knew we'd be playing at the same level as FTP, just didn't think it would feel like this.
Well, imagine what they're at. I was listening to a few of this. I was listening to Tom today, and I was listening to a few of the others, and they're in full-on rage mode, and it's like, dude, you're just coming off triple 13 wins seasons. You don't know what pain is yet. You don't have a clue
They don't
what
have a
pain
clue.
is.
But is Steve
Oh.
regretting the bets? That's all I'm asking.
I think they're certainly getting a taste. There's plenty of time to go. However,
they've still got to play us and the Bears. So.
It's a win-win for me, because if I lose the bet, then it means the Packers have been really shit, and if I win the bet, it's minimal bragging rights over Matt. So it's a win-win. But the fact they didn't convert a single third down was so fucking amazing.
I think they said that's the first time that's happened since, what was it, 1997 or something like that. It's in the 20th century the last time that happened. So
the last time that what happened?
The Packers didn't convert a third down in a game.
Wow, cool.
I think it's like 1997 or something like that. It's a very long time ago. So we are the NFC East this year, basically, aren't we?
No, the NFC South are it. We're somehow slightly better.
The NFC in general is just a big old dumpster fire at the minute.
But the AFC isn't much. We thought the AFC was going to be amazing, and it hasn't been.
But see, the AFC are taking wins off one another because they're good sides. We're taking wins off another because we're all rubbish. It's like we're like a cage full of clowns all fighting one another at this moment in time, and that's kind of what we are.
We're a cage full of clowns, and the biggest jokers of them all are the fucking Vikings.
It's the clown battle royale is what the NFC is. We should just rename it that for this year, the clown battle royale.
I mean, PJ Walker's just beaten Tom Brady.
Didn't just beat Tom Brady, he fucking handed his ass to him as well.
Does that kind of absolve us of our loss to PJ Walker and that Panthers team now? Because that Bucs team is a lot better than our team that got absolutely their arse handed to them. So I feel like we can put that particular ghost to bed now.
I mean, I can't, but
the Bucs defense is absolutely
horseradish,
ravaged by injuries. It's absolutely hammered.
Can you guys tell me if you think it's my internet that's bad or whether it's Steve's internet that's bad? Because I have a feeling it's probably Steve's, but I don't know.
He's in Scotland, so technology ain't as advanced there yet.
Yours is okay, Matt. Ants is cracking up while he's talking.
Yeah,
for
so
me, anyway.
Yours is cracking up for me, Steve, quite a bit.
Mine seems to be fine.
Yeah, I've got Ant pretty continuously.
Although he probably wishes that my voice was cracking up all the time, so he couldn't hear.
Oh, man. John Balls just said Lions 4-18 over the last 2 years. He's out of Kool-Aid already this year. At 1-5, it's easy to be out of Kool-Aid.
I mean, I went back and watched the game today again for my sins. It's the first thing I did this morning, so I thought I'm getting it out of the way, and then I'm watching college football and making myself happy, which I have done. So, yeah, I mean, I saw good things in there, but I'm kind of way too skeptical at this point now. I'm just like, I need to see more than flashes in the pan and a few good things here and there. I need to see consistency. I need to see us not chucking shit away when the lights are on high. It's, sort of last year's me would have loved yesterday's performance in a way. Sounds weird.
No, I'm there.
Last year's me would have loved yesterday's performance in terms of kind of individual traits I saw, and the defense been a bit better and playing really well for the most part. And even Goff, I mean, people crucified Goff for the end yesterday, but I mean, like, the first pick should never have stood, and that's where the confidence starts to get knocked. The fact they didn't even review it was a pure and utter travesty. And the second pick comes 2 plays after Sam Williams does a freaking F5 on Josh Jackson, which should have been a penalty. Instead, the tackle for loss is somehow counted. We're put in a long situation. He tries and forces a ball through and he gets picked. Refs fault those 2 picks. And then it all just sort of goes downhill from there. So a lot of it, I'd be like, you know what, I'm quite positive outside factors affected this a little bit, but where I think we should be at now, what we should be doing now, it was a disappointment. Once again, one side of the ball turns up, the other doesn't. And, it's just a tale as old as time with this team now. And I still felt negative after I'd watched it based on where I want this team to be and where I want it to go. So I don't know. Like I say, I might just have to reset my expectations to this being week zero of the. If this was week zero of the rebuild, I'd have liked yesterday, but it's not, so I didn't. So maybe we just need to hit the reset button.
On expectations. I think in order to be happy, in order for my own self-preservation, that's where I'm at right now. Like, it'd be so easy to get depressed.
Self-preservation society. Gotta get a blooming. Move on. Maybe that's what should we do? Just sing Italian job songs all day. Gotta get a blooming. Move on.
Oh man.
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
You can't pull that off.
Like, I'm not a Cockney. Ryan did. Ryan needs a Cockney voice.
Yeah, but you got to do it with your shoulders, even when you're saying it, you know? Oh, Steve's looking there pensively, or he's frozen with his tongue out.
Oh, get a shot of that still. Get a shot of that still.
Oh, I missed
damn
it.
it.
Oh. Oh, man.
We were just talking about the Italian job, Steve. I don't know how it got onto that in such a short period of time of you being gone, but we did.
He has no comment.
What can I say?
What's the comment good? I don't know what that was. Hey, Ryan in the building.
Matt probably thinks that the Italian jobs are filming Mark Wahlberg again.
Shut your face.
Or that the American version's good.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. You ruined it.
Oh, got a first time chatting from Linus Pendet, who says hi. Hi to you. Harley Quinn says, I want to see you guys win. So do we. Grandizer says, will we get a rant from Ryan? If we're lucky, if we're all good boys and girls.
What do you mean if we're lucky? It's a given.
It's not a given. He's going to sit there on mute, just listening to everyone and going like,
just,
or no.
I want Ryan to do a rant on mute so we can all try and guess what he's saying. just use the arm movements.
No rant today.
I don't know why. I don't know why Lindus Pendet is trying to make me dance monkey dance, but he's just said, can you say 555? And I don't really know why, because it's 555 in German, but there you go. Hope you enjoyed. Right. Okay. It's time. I think everyone ready to go?
Yeah, I think my internet is terrible. I don't know what's going on.
Shall we?
Well, just having you here, Steve, is a good thing. So stay with us, even if it's slow.
Yeah, we'll just put up with it. It's fine.
Okay. I have rebooted, but it's not made any difference.
No, that's fine. All right.
Well, Man United have tried the same the last 10 years and it's not worked. But, we still love you all the more, Steve. So reboots don't work.
Right, okay. Recording. Here we go.
Recording in progress.
Welcome to another edition of the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, episode 151. Truly goreful. My name is Matthew Turner, alongside co-hosts Ant, Ryan, and Steve. How you doing, boys?
That was terrible.
I'm gonna have to retake over these duties, aren't I? You ever see the college? Yep.
These have got to start going to a committee.
Yeah.
We need to start voting on these.
You ever see the college football ones and notice how good they are? I put time and effort into my titles and, making them good. So I think we need to do this.
All I can say is the planning document is available for you to make amendments to it whenever you like, wherever you like, and I know that because Steve has tripped me up by putting in additional information which isn't required and I don't want. So if you want to change the episode title, you are free to do so, people.
I was going to put zebras are a cowboy's best friend, but I didn't want to make this about the refs. But it's going to be about the refs, isn't it? So
Is it?
yeah.
Feels like we beat ourselves a little bit.
No, well, we did, but they did as well.
Hmm.
You know, like kind of when you're losing and then someone comes in and sticks in that final boot that does you in. That's the refs. They stick in that final boot.
Well, we can talk about the game in just a moment. I'm going to get through our usual preamble as I always do. Don't forget our Discord channel. Please do come and join us and be a part of that. It's been a very active community in the past day, as I'm sure you can appreciate. College Football Podcast is chuntling on. That's not a word, but I said it anyway. How's it going, guys? What happened last weekend? What are you going to be talking about this week?
College football. Yeah, no, it was another good weekend. Some good results there. We're doing our technical half-season mocks this week, although it's a bit beyond half-season. But I don't know, who cares? Especially given the state we're in at the minute. Mock draft season is upon us, so we're doing that. We're going to look back over this weekend just gone, and then looking forward to next weekend. It's the MSU Michigan rivalry game. That's not going to be controversial at all. So a lot of these big rivalry games starting to appear now. So we're probably going to have a look through the leagues as well, see who's looking towards championships, bowls, etc. So it'll be good fun. So come and join us. We will be during the week this time because I have time off work this week. It won't be on Saturday. So
Hey.
yeah.
Good stuff. I mean, some big wins and losses for people. Undefeated teams losing, and the team I was kind of slightly pulling for lost as well, which I was gutted by. And Bo Nix is a quarterback, apparently. He actually is.
He's getting actual draft talk now. He's actual chat about him getting drafted. Well, in Ryan's world, he definitely won't be, but in some of the worlds I've seen, they're starting to talk about him as a potential draft pick now. And
on that point, I was listening to the Draft Network's Draft Dudes podcast this morning or this afternoon on my way home from work, and the producer of the show literally said, I shit you not, can you imagine how good of a fit it would be for the Detroit Lions to pick Will Anderson at 1 and Bo Nix in the second round?
Well, you'll get a Ryan's rant if that happens. You'll get a Ryan's super in rant. It'll be the rant to end all rants.
Bo Nix is a little fanny that jumped ship out of the SEC, went to a little cushy Pac-12 where he could be breastfed. I'm not buying it whatsoever.
If you want to hear more on this sort of thing, then you need to tune in to the College Football Podcast, airing probably on Wednesday, sometime around then. You need to check it out. But please do like this show and sub to the podcast on YouTube and Twitch and give us a nice review if you can. We'd really appreciate that. You know it helps us out. Lions Nation Unite as well. You need to go and download that app, lionsnationunite.com. Herman Moore's project to bring the best in Lions content creators all together in one place. You can get Micro Mike there and Dose of Dion and Lions on the Prowl and all of those guys. Everything King. You need to do that. And we are a Twitch affiliate. If you have got an Amazon Prime subscription and you're not using your free Twitch Prime subscription, would love for you to donate that to us once a month. Puts a little bit in our pocket in place of you giving it to Amazon. So it doesn't hurt you at all, but it's great for us. Right, a little bit of news to go through before we do talk about this game. Jack Fox does have a new contract. We maybe spoke on that during the show on Saturday. But what we weren't aware of at the time was that his new shiny 3-year contract extension, so it doesn't come into effect until the end of this season, is a 3-year deal, an average of $3.775 million a year, $7.5 million guaranteed, which makes him the highest paid punter in NFL history. The highest paid ever all time. I knew it was the highest paid in the league. I didn't realise it was ever. I was thinking that Johnny Hecker might have had a bigger deal or someone like that, but apparently not. Vitae has been restructured. That saves $2.42 million in cap space. In all likelihood, it adds $2.42 million to the next 2 years subsequent to this one. DJ Chark and Bobby Price placed on IR. Cornerback Jerry Jacobs and defensive lineman Josh Pascal activated from IR. And Amara St. Brown left the game with a concussion. There's actually a press conference going on at the moment So we may be updated on this while we're live on the air, but at the moment it remains to be seen whether he actually does have a concussion. He was told instantly after a hit on the field to report to the tent. Sorry, say again, Ryan?
He doesn't have a concussion. He's been cleared, but under the new protocols, it's not the team's decision if he plays or not. But apparently, he does not have a concussion. But these new rules will decide if he's allowed to play or not.
Yeah, I thought that was the case. It was actually, while I was on the air yesterday doing live reactions, Drew said as soon as he went off the field, he's done for the day. Because you can't have a concussion evaluation without being done. And it's
yeah,
just,
not allowed it. Yeah.
It's, I get what happened with Tua, and you've got to do more to protect players. But that seemed nuts. To me, it didn't look like he had any symptoms whatsoever. Did anyone think he did?
Oh, yeah. He stood up and nearly fell over.
Yeah.
He had to go lean on the He had to go lean on the referee. Then the referee sent him off.
Right.
Slow motion, he literally gets punched in the back of the head. I think it was definitely the right decision.
All right.
If they let him carry on, we'd have got in a world.
My bad. I didn't see that at all. I must have been talking to Drew at the time. Right, let's talk about the game. It was the Lions 6, Dallas 24. Did finish 6-3 in favour of the Lions at the half. We elevated the wide receiver Brandon Zylstra and kicker Michael Badgley for this game. Inactives were the running back DeAndre Swift, offensive tackle Matt Nelson, defensive lineman Michael Brockers and Demetrius Taylor, cornerback Will Harris, and safety Ifatu Melifonwu. I was surprised that Zylstra came up, if I'm honest, as a wide receiver. Obviously, Badgley had to come up because one of the kickers had to. Swift being out was a bit of a kick to the nuts before the game. We knew, obviously, that he was questionable, but he wasn't doubtful. So, a bit of a surprise that he didn't go, boys?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's...
Anyone?
No, it
No.
was a shock. He's had 2 weeks off. Sorry. He's had 2 weeks off, and he's still not healthy. This shoulder thing and whatever, and it's just like it's getting to the point now where it's just annoying. I feel for him. I do with the injuries, but I'm tired of he's not practicing during the week. He's at light practice. The Andre's going, oh yeah, I'm fine, I'm healthy, I'm going to play at the weekend, and then the weekend arrives, and then he doesn't play, and then this offense is suffering for it. I mean, people are saying that maybe Goff's holding the offense back at the minute, or a good quarterback would make this offense a lot better. This is what we're missing, and it's Swift we're missing. When Swift plays, this offense is much better. It all goes through your running back. If you've got a running back who can move the chains, make explosive plays, get you out of those tough, long predicaments, then it makes your offense that much more dangerous. And he's never around. He's never there. It's almost like he's kind of that luxury pick, the special player you get once every few games just to be able to come in and do something. It's like an unlockable character or something like that. You don't get him all the time, and I'm kind of done with it now. It's frustrating knowing that you've got such a great player and you can never play him, and it's just like, well, what's the point at this point? Is he going to come back next week? Is he still going to be dinged up? Is he going to take one hit and then be out another few games? I don't understand why it's taking him so long to come back. You see Brian Robinson got shot. He's playing well. You see other running backs who are taking hits who are still playing. They're playing well, and I'm about done with it now. I love him as a player, but he ain't reliable enough for us.
I'm done with him. I wash my hands with him. Replace him. He's an absolute liability, unfortunately. For all the talent in the world, he has got no durability whatsoever. Puts on muscle, puts on mass, like you say, and he's still basically about as durable as a breadstick. And Juice Staley must be losing patience either. We literally told us in Hard Knocks, like, we need you to be tougher. We need you to try play through pain and injury. And if he ain't going to do that, then we'll just get rid of him. Right, trade him. Honestly, at this point, I don't care. Like I said, I'm drafting a running back next year within the first 3 rounds, and I'm going out there to get his replacement.
Yeah, and the other one who perhaps we didn't miss on the field, but certainly was someone surprising that was a healthy scratch, was Michael Brockers. I know that Ant before has spoken about not cutting him just because there's no cap benefit to it really, but at the moment it seems like we had addition by subtraction there, boys.
Oh, we were so much better without him. I'm sick. He doesn't offer anything anymore. That whole lead and veteranship, I think it's total bullshit. I'm glad that you didn't play the game because now Pascal is back. I've got no interest in seeing Brockers take the field again this season, if I'm honest. I'll keep him till the moment we can get the best cap saving by cutting him. But for me, I don't care if he plays again this season. I don't care as a captain. I don't want him out there.
Thing is, you don't get anything by cutting him now. Really, you need rotational depth on your D line. Kaminsky is walking around with a cast on at the minute. You've still got a lot of young guys in there. Benito Jones and Isaiah Buggs didn't grade particularly well this week either. There's a lot of issues, so you kind of have to keep him. You need bodies in there to rotate in and take snaps if you need them to. But the overall part of it, this finally benching your senior players for bad performance is what Campbell needs to do. Started with Amani. Amani came back and played a bit better this week, not tremendously so, but he looked a bit better this week. Brockers is next. Hopefully Anzalone's the next to get this treatment as well, but at least it's showing that, your position is not safe as a veteran here. That's what Dan Campbell needed to do, and lo and behold, Josh Pascal comes in, plays well as the rookie. So, and that's what this team needs. It needs its young players to stand up and show that they're going to be parts of this team going forward. And if that's coming at the expense of these veterans who can't do it, then fine. That's absolutely fine. We can ride out this season with Brockers as a rotational piece and then cut him when it's done. When, second to last game's done, cut him, get your 10 million savings off him, reinvest it somewhere else. But I'm just glad that they are benching these underperformers now. There are more names to go on that list, and hopefully someone will step up at linebacker and make it an easier decision to bench Anzalone and keep his ass there.
Well, I mean,
if anything, this bad season is actually making a lot of decisions easier for me. I've worked out in my head now who I want rid of, especially of the veterans, and who is no longer a future piece of this team. So it's actually been very clarifying. I feel like my mind is clearer. I feel like I have a better understanding of where we should be going further forward. So if that means that some of these veterans don't play or see playing time, I'm actually all right with that. I've accepted it. Like say Brockers, Hawkinson. I'm done with Hawkinson. Like say Chark. It was a 1-year flyer. It's a shame that he's injured, but ultimately, now from the end of the year, like say Zylstra, Tom Kennedy, you're annoying me. But yeah, Demetrius Taylor. Demetrius Taylor can't be any worse than Michael Brockers. I don't actually think it's possible. So next week, just activate him. What has this team got to lose right now? Not a damn lot.
No. Let me go through some of the statistical performances, then we can talk about some of the plays in the game, and then maybe some of the themes coming out of it. Goff, 21 of 26, in a fairly efficient performance, 228 with 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles, 5 sacks suffered as well for 33 yards of loss. Prescott, on the other hand, 19 of 25, 207 and a touchdown very late on. Rushing game, Jamaal Williams, 15 carries, 79 yards, and 2 fumbles. Tony Pollard leading the way for Dallas, 12 carries for 83 yards, and Zeke got 15 for 57 and 2 touchdowns. In the receiving game, it was pretty good for the Lions, all in all. Raymond, 5 of 6 for 75. Wright, 4 of 4 for 57. Hawk, 4 of 5 for 48. All sounds very good, actually, when it comes down to it. Dallas in the receiving game, Lamb 4 for 70, Brown 5 for 50, Schultz 5 for 49. That ain't blowing us away. But it really comes down to all those turnovers in the game. On defense, Jeff Okudah leads the way massively on either side. 15 tackles, 12 of which solo, and a tackle for a loss. In the sack game, Anzalone had half, along with Hutch, who had 1.5. On the Dallas side of the ball, there were 5 sacks, 2 by Sam Williams, and he looked an absolute menace. Only 1 for Parsons, who was held mainly in check through this game. And then the only other thing I guess to mention is that Badgley hit both of his kicks, which is something, I guess, considering the performance we've had from that position in the last few games, including a kick from over 50 yards. Who knew he could do that? Going into the game, started out with something that hasn't happened for Dak since 2019, which is 2 consecutive 3-and-outs to start the game, including that shared sack between Anzalone and Hutchinson on the first series, which was really great play, actually. Hutch slammed him to the ground so hard, I feared a flag was coming, but it didn't. On the following possession, there was a really nice goal line stand, which forced a 4th and 2. Dallas was going to go for it, ended up having to take a timeout because they ran out of time to snap the ball. And then when they came back out, they actually hit the field goal to go 3 apiece. And then very late on in the half, with the Lions 6-3 up, an amazing turnover created on our own 5-yard line. Kirby Joseph hitting a guy in midair at the knee, dropping the ball, and then recovered by Amani Oruwariye, sparing our blushes and allowing us to go into the lead with a 6-3 halftime. It was... I don't really know how to describe it. It was weird. It didn't really feel like either team had taken a hold of the game. We stopped them on the goal line, but we'd had a couple of chances to put some points on the board ourselves and only settled for field goals after they managed to come around the defense deck and perhaps missed a block here or there, and that put us behind the chains when we get in towards the red zone. It kind of felt like we'd missed out there, boys, but I thought we'd had the best of it in that first half, and the defense came out absolutely firing.
It's tails all the time with this team. Stupid mistakes. I mean, your second and third drives, you should have had points on. You have Evan Brown with the unnecessary hold, which takes us from third and magic. We converted first down, their red zone, getting ready to have a hammer away at the end zone. He holds, puts us back into third and long. Stupid hold, which he shouldn't have done because the player was getting nowhere near. I think it was Jamaal who converted the first down on it. And you are consistently making these little errors all the time. And we should have been up a lot more by the half. I mean, I felt like they settled, especially, the last drive before the half. You've got 3 timeouts in your back pocket. You've got a minute and a half. Jamaal starts off with 2 big runs, start getting you towards midfield, and then you just run. Oh, yeah, let's settle. Let's just settle on it. Now, why not push your team? Why not push your team and see what's capable of? You're on the road. The Cowboys are playing awful, for want of a better word, and you go in conservative against them. You don't win on the road by being conservative. Dan Campbell, you know damn well a 6-3 lead at halftime ain't going to win you a game. So why are you not going out there and being more aggressive with your play calling? And as for the players, stupid errors. Like you said, the receiving figure's not so bad, but we've got a lot of mid players making mid plays there. We don't have any game breakers making game breaking plays there. No one who can just push us over the edge in the running back room, in the receiving room. And it was just frustrating because it's just this tale of when one side of your ball turns up. The defense looked really good, like you said. First time it has done in some time. Came and played. Where was its offense? We got some real good field position in that first half. We had some good sustainable drives in that first half. We put ourselves in positions to score points, and we didn't. We came away with a couple of field goals, and that was it. And for me, I was bitterly disappointed at halftime because I know this team, and I know this team doesn't really play full games of football at the minute. So when you're on top, you have to maximize and put lots of points on the board. It's what we did against Washington. We were all over them in the first half, and we put up a lot of points so that when the inevitable comeback came, we had enough of a buffer to be able to protect that lead. There was no way we were protecting a 3-lead point going into halftime, despite being on top. And it's just frustrating. Like I said, last year's me would have loved that first half. Full of fight, full of vigor, defense looking good. That's all you want here. But I'm sorry, in my second year, I need to start seeing signs that this team can do a bit more than just fight out a half and have a 3-point lead and settle for things. I need to see more, and I didn't see that. And I was not happy at all come halftime.
it's I'm just so conflicted. Like I say, 3 weeks of the season, the offense is playing, like say, the best football it can. The defense is playing some bullshit high school pee wee football bollocks. Go to New England and the defense, okay, wasn't terrible, but the offense was putrid. And then, like I say, Goff being efficient, like we're saying that tongue in cheek because he was pants for most of the day. The offense, if Brock Wright is one of your leading receivers, that means your day's been pretty bad. Like Josh Reynolds, absolutely nowhere to be seen the entire game. Like if it was chemistry like between Goff and Reynolds, like I said this year, like it's gone. Like I said, the fact that he don't train all week and then plays tells me, like I say, that it's either something not right then, or maybe he shouldn't have just played, but we were down to bare bones, so he was forced to. But yeah, defense great. Like I say, Akuda flying about everywhere, playing nickel, playing strong safety, playing linebacker. If that's what we're going to do with him for the rest of the season, great. Because an island at cornerback is truly going to waste when he's much more versatile than playing that position there. So, defensive adjustment promised that after the bye. Before that, we were just getting lied to week in, week out. But they told us we're going to do some different stuff, and we got it. Offense, like I say, Craig Reynolds was just getting blown up in the backfield every other play. Once again, we were on 3rd and long multiple times. We converted the odd one, and then the penalties. Sometimes we look fantastic. We'll go for a stretch where we get a few penalties a game, and then we'll go on a stretch where we just shoot ourselves in the foot constantly. This is just another of those games where we just crucified ourselves. Terrible holding calls. Evan Brown, like I say, pulling guard. Too many times he just did not get there and he missed. Like I said, Jamaal Williams whiffed on some blocks. Goff out there running for his life at times, and it was just a slugfest. At the half, to be 6-3 up, I was actually delighted because I did not expect to be in this game whatsoever at the half. That last drive there, Dan Campbell don't trust the offense. He was thinking, we don't have a deep threat. We've barely got a mid threat. Aramara's gone. We have literally got no real passing juice right now. So he decided to just whip out, take the lead to the half, knowing we'll get the ball back after the half. And at that point, I was fine with it. If we got something coming out of the half, that literally addressed going into the half and not getting anything. But second half, just a totally different story.
I mean, fundamentally, going back to Brown, he looks all at sea for me at guard. He's not a guard. He is a centre. He's a backup centre, and he's a bloody good one. Just play Stenberg. Like, what is all of this rubbish with adding Skipper in there and stuff? I know Stenberg missed an assignment 2 weeks ago, and it could have been a touchdown if he'd actually hit his mark, and he just didn't know what he was doing. And that's a big thing. You need to have trust in the alignment to know what you're meant to do on each play. I get it. But he performed really well, apart from that one snap in that game. And he is a guard, and he's on the roster into his 3rd year with the team. Cut him or play him in this situation. If he can't get onto the team as the backup guard, and you're not re-signing him after year 4, because at the moment I can't imagine a scenario where we're re-signing him after year 4, what's he still doing here? Play him or cut him, but they're doing neither at the moment, and he's not doing any good just sitting there. Like, I don't get it.
This experiment at right guard's failed. And they say the run game has noticeably got worse with him not in there. That was his thing. I know the pass game, it wasn't as great, but you kind of have to accept your lumps there. Some teams do that. They accept a little worse pass protection if it means they can run the ball better, and he moves better, he pulls better. He missed one assignment. He hadn't before that during the season. There were so many examples of him pulling well, gets up to the second level fast. You've trained him to be there. Play your guard there. The whole thing with Skipper's failed. He's just back to being awful again and not really contributing much to this team. Brown, like you say, is not a guard. 2 holding penalties on him in this one, which were big for us. So you just can't afford these type of things. Logan's not been giving away penalties really that much. I know he gave a few in one game, but it needs to end. At this point going forward, you need to decide whether you have to draft a guard next year or not, because you've got to make a big decision on Hal at the end of the year, whether you're going to keep him and his big contract or whether you're going to save the money on him. And if you're not, then you need a backup plan. And if we get to the end of the season just rotating guards around, not really solving the issue and then letting Hal go, then you've got to go and draft one. And then that's a draft pick wasted when we could be spending it on defense, trying to get that fixed, because really we need to be sending as much ammunition, to the defense this year as possible in the draft. So if you can avoid having to spend picks on offense because you figured these things out, then do it. Just put Logan in there. Just expose him for the rest of it. We're 1-5. What the hell does it matter at this point?
Yeah.
We ain't going for the wild card. We ain't going for the division. We ain't going for nothing this year. At this minute, we're playing for pride. We're trying to finish in front of the Bears if it's at all possible. That's all this is down to. So put him in, give him the year, see if you can develop his pass pro enough for him to be a long-term solution. Because the rest of that, well, we might get onto this later, but I'm not so sure about the rest of the line. But at the minute, it's the one glaring error. So do what you can to fix it. Put him in there and just leave him in there and stop with this Evan Brown box. I think you're only doing that to justify paying Evan Brown what you are, because we put the high tender on him. We're paying him a fair bit of money, so thinking, right, let's get our money's worth out of it, but just leave him where he needs to be.
Yeah, right, let's move on to the second half. And first possession, as you say rightly, we get the ball back. And first couple of plays, Goff just decides to go play action and absolutely just float a ball into coverage. Receiver's not looking back for it. It's massively underthrown. It just kind of hangs in the air, just straight into the DB's arms. It was one of the worst picks I've seen by a Lions quarterback in some time. Sometimes you just get things wrong. You underthrow it a little bit and it gets caught by like an edge player or something, and like, well, that doesn't look good, but okay, that's just a small mistake that looks really bad. This was awful. I mean, really, really terrible. So, and I mean,
it would be if it was a pick. It wasn't a pick. You know it. I know it. We all know it.
Yeah, it wasn't a pick. It wasn't reviewed. I heard some people say they think it was like briefly looked at in New York, and it's like, there's no evidence for that. You're guessing, and like, it's meant to be checked, but they must have just thought, that's clean, let's move on. And it wasn't. It definitely was controlled with help from the ground. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But it doesn't detract from the fact that it's another piece of evidence against Jared Goff. After 4 games this year, we thought we'd seen maybe 11 straight games of passable Jared Goff play. And the last 2 have made us realise that this is Jared Goff probably for the rest of his career. Like, it's going to be a seesaw thing with him, and it's just to stick another bit of thing. He should never have thrown that ball, regardless of whether it was caught or not.
Oh, well, so he shouldn't have thrown that. It wasn't a pick. I mean, I'm not an apologist for him, but it's not a pick. You can't beat him up over something that wasn't a pick. And as for the rest, that's automatically reviewable. Automatic means you've got to do it, and they didn't. 99.999999 recurring percent of the time that happens, you have to go over to the damn board and you have to check it. The fact they didn't even go over there to check it. I mean, where are we? Third quarter, Cowboys are losing at home, offense is struggling. Let's give them the call. And, that sets off a spiral of motions in event there. So that first pick, that'll dent his confidence, especially when he knows that it shouldn't have happened. And then that affects his confidence, which affects us. If that call is reviewed and overturned as it should have been, we're at 3rd and 2, we're still at halfway, we're in good field position, probably could have ran it over if we wanted to, and we're in a position to put points on the board. Game is completely different. Not blaming this all on the ref, but at that point, that is a critical juncture in this game and an incredibly bad mistake to make. So instead of us having another chance on a 3rd and short in a good position, we get a turnover, which is not a turnover, and you get your confidence of your QB knocked. And it shows on going forward. Because it was the same with the second pick. Should never have happened because of repping decisions.
Brian, do you have any thoughts on this? I mean, for me, the ball was just so badly positioned that it should have been picked, whether it was or not.
Oh, shite ball, yeah, double coverage should have been picked off. One picked off. CJ Mosley did the exact same thing. It got reviewed and it got overturned. Actually identical in a game-icy interception, reviewed and overturned. But at this point, where the team is right now, Goff can't be relying on confidence. Like Goff has got to just have that awareness. Reynolds, I don't think had any idea that ball had even been thrown.
No.
It was that far behind him. But at this point, now when I'm questioning this, now looking back at the first half, thinking we should have tried to score. Like I say, if we came up like saying now, I'm doubting the decision at the end of the first half as well. So it was just a cataclysm of errors. So at this point, yeah, momentum is just gone.
The thing is, if you're going to throw that ball to me, you want it on the outside shoulder of the receiver, or you want to lead the receiver to the left-hand side of the field because he's got outside leverage. So, you know, the DB's on the inside of the receiver. Throw it to the outside of your guy. It means only your guy can go and get it. And it also means if you over or underthrow it, it's less likely to go in the DB's direction. But it was inside him instead and underthrown. Like, it's two bad things. The direction was bad and the power was bad. It was an awful throw. Anyway, we've talked about that ad nauseum, so I'll move it on. After that interception, the Lions can't survive another goal line stand, and Zeke balls over from a yard out for a 10-6 game. We then go 3 and out, and the punt is returned for a 52-yard return. There was a gap in the coverage, but I think it was because of an over-pursuit up the middle to try and get the catcher before he could move and just create the hole.
And a big-ass block in the back that wasn't called.
And actually, it was an amazing touchdown-saving tackle by Deshaun Elliott to get there because he's already gone past Jack Fox at this point. He's got open field in front of him. And Elliott had been beaten earlier on in the run, but managed to recover back to actually get there and tackle him. So it was amazing that didn't go for 6. So, you know, that happened. But on the following Lions possession, a really lovely play-action pass, tight end screen to Brock Wright with people in front of him. Looked to have made it, got into the further touchdown, looked to have broken the plane. Reviews after the event showed that he was about half a yard short with the ball placed at the 1 yard line, so they didn't quite give us the benefit of a doubt by a half yard, but what's a half yard really? Lots of people screaming for the flag to be thrown by Dan Campbell. This has already been covered by Pride of Detroit in terms of why you don't challenge that play. You don't challenge that play ever, because you cannot win the challenge. Like, it's just... If you challenge it, you lose the challenge, you lose a timeout, and maybe the ball gets moved to half a yard if you're lucky. But unless you're confident he's broken the plane, and after the first look, it was clear that he hadn't, then you don't challenge that. So I actually think that is a positive on Dan Campbell for not challenging that play. But that is what it is. Just a shame that the refs put us a half yard before, because if they'd given us that half yard, maybe it would be different. But on the very next play, bring in the heavy set, and Jamaal Williams fumbles in the backfield. Ball is recovered on the half yard line by the Cowboys. Amazing play on the left hand side of the line by DeMarcus Lawrence, who beat his man off a snap, beat Hawkinson, who was pulling from tight end on the right hand side of him, beat the fullback who was coming to meet him, to punch the ball out from Jamaal Williams. He beat 3 men. 3, including, so I think it was Dan Skipper, Evan Brown, Brock Wright. So Brock Wright playing the fullback role, Skipper playing right tackle, Brown playing right guard, and Wright playing fullback, with Hawk pulling from the tight end spot outside Skipper. It was some very, very big men being beaten by one of the best in the league.
It was fucking embarrassing is what it was.
Yeah, let's stop making excuses for this. It was atrocious.
End of the day, yeah. It don't matter like I said, at the 1 yard line to not punch that in when Jamaal Williams, after 4 weeks, had 6 touchdowns, and a lot of them are coming short yardage. Absolute criminal. And I know he must be upset by this point, but I don't give a shit how Jamaal Williams feels. Like I say, for him to just have an absolute meltdown in this game and be one of the deciding factors why we lose, just not good enough. Skipper, like I say, smoked. Get him off the team. Just get rid of him. Evan Brown then to also go. And then Brock Wright as a fullback. Like I say, he's not exactly small. You'd like to think he'd be able to hold his own. But to come through 3 people and be able to rip a ball out, that was it. That, to me, I knew we'd lost. I knew the game were over there and then. Confidence in tatters. Dan Campbell, needed a new headset because he went fucking ballistic, didn't he? He launched that headset, and that's the maddest I've ever seen him. And I was glad that he did that. I bet there was some choice words said at full time after that play.
I hope each one of them got absolutely rollicked for that. I mean, that's pride, if anything, to be beaten so comprehensively. We said this game was about restoring your pride as a Lions player after that humiliating showing a few weeks ago. You're on the 1 yard line and you get absolutely bullied by DeMarcus Lawrence there. 3 of you. You should be ashamed. You know, you as a professional footballer should be ashamed of that. Jamaal should be for fumbling the damn thing. The 3 of the guys who couldn't make a block should be ashamed. That, for me, is where the real problems with this team are. I can't just be taking these moral victories every week where we do this all right for a while. This is where a team wins games. This is how you win games. This is the next mental barrier that this team needs to clear to learn how to win. And that was the chance there that they had, and they failed. They wilted in the light. And we've seen it again and again and again this season. When the lights are brightest and you need that one big play to give yourself a good chance in this game, you're not good enough. And I was absolutely disgusted with it. I don't care about the spot or anything like that at this point. That's fair. But I mean, that's what good teams do. Their players stand up. I mean, no one talks about Micah Parsons, the tackle he made to bring Brock Wright down. He started a full 15 yards off behind him when he got the ball. You know, all this crap about linebackers don't matter. Well, I'm sorry. That linebacker is showing how valuable he is to his team. He saved them that game with that tackle. And I don't want to hear no more rubbish about how linebackers are not vital to a team. What he did in that game won it for them. I don't want to hear this. He's an edge. No, he bloody well isn't. And then DeMarcus Lawrence, their star man on the line, comes up, beats 3 men, makes a big play there. That's what good teams do. Their star players stand up and make plays. Well, where is our star players?
We don't have
Where's our
any
big players on offense?
Well, is it a rebuild or not? We don't have any star players.
All I hear is this team is young and it's got we've veterans on our offense. Quarterback veteran, running back veteran, left tackle veteran, center veteran. You've got tight end veteran. You've got veterans there who should make plays for you, who should be able in those. You can't blame it on youth there. You can't blame it on inexperience.
No, I wouldn't. I actually think that the play call is probably wrong as well. And I don't think that's an angle that's maybe been covered that much. But
I don't know why we don't QB sneak from these positions.
No, we don't want a QB sneak there. How many times...
I bring Sudfield in and do it. I would do something, because he's 6 foot, whatever the
6, yeah.
Bring him in. Sneak it with him.
How many times have we seen the Lions being burned on the 1 yard line by that stupid play-action rollout to the right with the fullback who's a tight end in the flat for a touchdown? It's like our Achilles heel for losing touchdowns in that spot. But we should be running that ourselves. Brock Wright had a really good game in the receiving game. He's a tight end, so he can definitely play that role. So he can feign the run, chip a blocker if he needs to, and then get out in the flat. Goff is actually very good running the play-action stuff, and he showed that most of this game. So why... They think you're going to be running. Every man and his dog thinks that the Lions are a rah-rah team who love to run the ball. Everything is telegraphing run. So why not do what they actually don't expect? It's meant to be a chess match. And no one's going to talk about this because, in the end of the day, the run is a fine call. It should work, and that's why it doesn't really matter. But I don't think it's quite the right call. I think we can do better. But the way it actually went down, I know it's a goal line play, so it's slightly different. But we had seen multiple occasions in this game. It was highlighted during the coverage, actually, by the bloomin' former Cowboys quarterback, whose name always escapes me, and I hate him. Romo highlighted how good some of our run blocking was sometimes when we went in tandems of 2. When we went in tandems of 2, they were creating massive holes for our running backs all over the field. Now, it didn't always work, and the Cowboys did have some where they beat us too. But in general, it was working out very well for us. But when we brought 3, it went all to pot. What the bloody hell happened with that play? I don't understand it. I mean, at the end of the day, Brown is a backup, Wright's a backup, and Skip is a backup when you're getting your best team out there, and that really is a difference. So why are they the ones we're running behind then? Let's put it behind someone else.
Saul.
Where was
He's
Saul
the lights
in that
out
play?
tackle in the league this year.
Where's McNeil?
That's it. Bring in your
Fullback.
big skin bruisers. Do what college players do. Bring in your nose tackles. Bring in your heavy guys, and just run the ball over them. Maybe they're expecting run. Well, I expect my offensive line with 3 first-round picks on it to bloody well make a gap in that situation. Games possibly on the line. I expect my guys to get better, and instead they just got completely and utterly overwhelmed. Williams didn't move a yard from where the ball was. As soon as he got past Goff and had the ball in his hands, he got hit. Yeah. Where's my offensive line that I've invested in?
Williams
punch it in those situations.
Williams was never making it, but his record of not fumbling the ball in X number of possessions is well and truly behind him with this game. Maybe he's regressing back to the mean, but did he have to do it all in one game? That was unfortunate. If it seems that we spent a lot of time on this play, I think we all genuinely believe that a touchdown for the Lions there really puts the cat amongst the pigeons as opposed to who's going to win that game. And the fumble really turned it in their favour. Ryan, as he said, called it in our Discord channel at the time. That's the game right there. I don't see us coming back, especially if they can put points on the board from this next possession. It was so frustrating. Further to that play, Goff had another pick over the middle. Actually, I got my picks wrong when I noted that this one did it bounce, but it was the previous one. But this pick, down the middle, misplaced, good catch by the Dallas player who actually ended up injuring himself, and he's out for the season now as well. But that was another ill-advised play. He was slightly hurried, but it never should have happened.
It shouldn't, but, and again, I sound an excuse making here. 2 plays before that, Josh Jackson gets suplexed to the ground. It's a foul. It's a penalty.
Yeah.
Any day of the week. So you're on first down at that point. You get that penalty. Your new set of downs, first down, you're going forward. Instead, we're put into second and 13? I think we're 2nd and 13 because of that blatant penalty miss. And what happens when you're in 2nd and 13 against the Cowboys? They bring the pressure on you. And that's exactly where we cannot afford Jared Goff to be throwing from 2nd and 13, then 3rd and 13. He forced that throw. And I'm not absolving him for 1 minute, but the point is we should never have been in that situation, because that is one of the most blatant penalties I've ever seen in my life. He did that with intent to harm. You saw he did. You saw how he arced him back just for maximum impact.
Yeah.
That should have been, that should have been a 15-yard penalty. We should be a lot closer, and we shouldn't be making throws from 3rd and 13 against that Cowboys pass rush. So these are the little things, how the refs influence this game. And as I said, I'm not blaming them for the overall thing, but these situations where we threw the game away should not have happened because referees made calls which made those situations happen.
Yeah, and it was an egregious no call as well. I mean, the word isn't like, I don't even know how to put this. The word is unnecessary roughness. And that was, by its very definition, unnecessary. He had him. I'm not asking him to place him on the floor. I am asking him not to drop him from a great height at danger to himself. Like, I know people are going to say, oh, it's football gone mad, you can't be calling that or whatever, especially if you're on the Dallas side of things. And if I was a Dallas fan and that was called on us, I would go, okay, fair enough, but that's a bit of a weak call. But it should have been called. Or as trying to be as neutral as possible, it is very unnecessary. So that was very, very bad. But Goff has his second pick. That leads to another Zeke touchdown from the 1 yard line after a Jerry Jacobs DPI. He couldn't get his head round. It was actually pretty good coverage. He just mistimed it slightly, but there we go. Goff then had time to have 3 fumbles at the end of the game. Was it? No, 2 fumbles at the end of the game. Beg your pardon. Strip sacks when not feeling pressure. Dak gets his gimme touchdown late. He couldn't miss that one. And then another fumble to finish the game. And at some point, I did feel like they were going to bench Goff because what good is he being out there? He's clearly getting nothing done. Game finishes 24-6. I don't feel it was representative, really, of the overall game. I thought we were very much in it for the entirety of it up until the final 7 minutes or something. But my God, no touchdowns again in this game. 2 straight games. No rushing or passing touchdowns of any kind. It's rough. And yet, we were saying in the game 2 weeks ago before the bye, it was very much on the coaching staff as to what happened here. One of the things I want to lead with in themes is that I don't think this was a game which was particularly coached badly. I thought on the defensive side of the ball, massive improvements and changes and schematic things that had been done which meant we'd done better. Ant made a point in our Discord that he's not giving him any props until you can see it on a more consistent basis. But it's better than doing what we did 2 weeks ago for me. And on the offensive side of the ball, we did move the ball. And plays were called that should have succeeded. I don't think in general it was a badly called game on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think Dan Campbell made any egregious mistakes in terms of going for it or not. He actually trusted his kicker from above 50 who hit it. I thought the coaches put the guys in position to win the game, boys, and actually it was just a lack of execution on the player side of things. Now, it's the coaches who put the players in those positions too on the training field, so it's hard to say what happens, but sometimes when they're on the field, they just have to execute, and it didn't happen.
It's 100% on the players, this is. Literally 100% of this blame lies on the players in this one. They're the ones who made the stupid mistakes. They're the ones who didn't convert when they needed to. They're the ones who gave away the stupid penalties. The coaches can only do so much for them. And this was a case of execution in this one. The execution was horrible, absolutely horrible. And it's just such a shame because when you see performances from the likes of Josh Pascal, when you see performances from the likes of Kirby Joseph, apart from that one interception he should have had, which was a killer for us, you get very annoyed by this because it's great to see the rookies looking better. It's great to see the rookies developing, but it's also disheartening to see the rookies walking off the field every week with that look on their face of, well, what's it like to win a football game? I always say this is a big part of rookie development. You want to develop properly. You need to learn how to win football games. You need to have those confidence boosts coming into a week with confidence, not constantly beaten down and your coach trying to pick you up all the time. And they're getting let down by the veterans. The veterans let us down again big time in this one. And it's a concerning trend on both sides of the ball. Our quarterback let us down. Our running back let us down. On defense, our linebacker, Anzalone, let us down. I know we got a few stops, but still a lot of mistakes in there. And, it's concerning, but it's 100% on the players. As for the Aaron Glenn thing you mentioned, yeah, fair enough. They have one good game. But, I mean, 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago now, people were going, oh, Ben Johnson's going to be a head coach. Ben Johnson's amazing. Look at this offense. 6 points in 8 quarters. 6 points in 8 quarters. Not acceptable. Not anywhere near acceptable. And this is what I mean. The coaches, we're overreacting so badly to them. Last year, Aaron Glenn's a masterpiece, going to be a head coach. Start of this season, Ben Johnson's a masterpiece, going to be a head coach. Now it's, what the hell's going on with this offense? This year, at the beginning, it's Aaron Glenn doesn't know what he's doing, yada, yada, yada. We've got to start seeing what happens over a period of time before crowning or crucifying these guys. Because, everyone was raving about Ben Johnson. It's like, give it time. Someone's going to figure out this offense eventually, and we have been figured out. Our offense has been completely and utterly exposed these last 2 weeks. I mean, for anyone doubting the Jamaal Williams pick in the draft this year, this is why you drafted him. Because we have nobody like him on our offense. No speed, no deep field penetration, no ability to stretch a defense. You see how close defenses are getting up to us to stuff our run game. It always feels like when our running backs have the ball, there's about 20 guys swarming around him because there's no one deep. There's no one who demands that type of respect down the field in our offense anymore, especially with Shark out injured. I know he wasn't doing great on the field anyhow, but at least with him on there, you've got to respect him slightly deeper down the field. So you can't stack the box as much against this team. Well, this is why you drafted Jameson. This is why you needed him. Defensive coordinator sat down, saw the way we played, and they have completely and utterly figured us out. And our coordinators now need to sit down and figure out how to overcome this. They need to come up with something new. They need to freshen it up again. And so I am not giving Aaron Glenn or Ben Johnson any props at this moment in time for their performances until they start doing it on a consistent basis. How many times have we said the defense has shown up, but the offense didn't? And then the week after, oh, well, the offense showed up, the defense didn't. Why are they not doing it consistently? Why can our coordinators not get consistency out of these players and this team? And I know the likes of Drew have said it's because you've got just young players on there. You've no veterans. It's no excuse. If they can do it one week, you can do it the next. You can. You've just got to put them in favourable situations, scheme correctly, and get going there. I mean, if there is a little bit of coaching blame in this, it will be on Ben Johnson because some of it was predictable. It's not changing. A lot of these screen passes getting blown up early. The run game is getting blown up, and we've got no answer to it. We desperately need Jameson in this team now to give us some form of edge again.
Some other thoughts I had from the game before I go on to some... Oh, sorry.
This game, like I say, if we're looking...
No, you go.
My thoughts on this game alone, 100% players. They let the coaches down, like you say. They just, in those pressure moments, they just did not deliver. And for 80% of the game, the coaches put them in all the decisions, put them in all the places to potentially succeed and put points on the board. I can live with the decisions that Dan Campbell didn't waste the challenge, didn't consider one. Like I say, he took that lead to the half because he felt good about his defense. Probably didn't feel as good about the offense, but that's understandable because for me, this was the eye opener that, like I say, Goff's got to go. Goff has got to go, and I'm not dilly-dallying about that anymore. Like I say, I'm not divvying about it. I'm done. Like I say, so his time in the league as a starter is under threat, but I don't care where he sees that right here, as long as it's not here. That's the biggest thing coming out of this game now. So I agree with Ant that right now the Detroit Lions offense deserves no respect from defenses. If I was a defense, I wouldn't fear this offense. I wouldn't give it any respect. I'd stack the box knowing you can't beat me because you haven't got anyone with any credible threat going down the field. I feel like Jameson Williams has got to come back as soon as possible, but I feel like on the flip side, the coaches will probably want to manage the expectations and probably don't want to put him at harm, seeing how this offense is currently being managed. So I hope we see him as soon as possible, but if they try to delay it as long as they do, it actually won't surprise me. So I don't know. I'm managing expectations. I'm not sure how quickly it can make an impact with who we've currently got getting the ball down the field, but I'd like to see him on the field as soon as possible because we traded up for him. Like I say, we gave up capital for him, so I want to see what he's got.
I'm starting to have a horrible feeling now that they're going to shut him down. You know, when you're 1-5, we're potentially going to be 1-6. When the Packers are done with us, we're at 1-7, 1-8, and he's on the cusp of a return, then I think they're just going to shut him down and, you know, wait till next year, which was probably always the plan anyhow, and it sucks. But as much as I would want to see him play and gain NFL experience, I don't want him going into a second year as a fresh rookie. I want him with half a season under his belt so that he can adjust to the league and we can see him hit the ground running next year. But I have this nasty feeling that we're trending more and more by the week that we're not going to see him at all.
I disagree with that take, and I know why you're making the take, and it makes sense. We saw them do it with Swift last year when he could have come back for the final 4 games or so, and they just shut him down.
And
But you saw in the off-season Dan Campbell during Hard Knocks talk about the fact that he said, you know, if we could do this training, if we didn't have to do this and you could go out there on Sundays and perform well, I don't want to put you in harm's way. You're more likely to get injured in training than you are during the game. You know, I don't want to be doing this to you, but you've got to do it in order to get there. And what you've just said, Ant, about wanting half a season under his belt for Jameson, Dan Campbell comes from the point of view, generally speaking, of I want you playing because the reps are going to help you. That is what he believes fundamentally, and he may have been persuaded otherwise last season for a couple of guys. But I think there's a big difference between 3 games left in a season and, I mean, how many do we have now? 11? We have 11 games left. You know, we've got 2/3 of the season. If he misses another couple of games, you've got half the season left, and I think actually Dan Campbell will regard that as a big enough time to actually make a difference in his career. So I'm not,
he's not
there
ready to
yet.
return yet. He's not ready to return yet. And we're probably looking 3 or 4 weeks still, minimum. So you're over halfway through the season then.
pre-bye, after the post-game presses after the Pats game, it was kind of indicated maybe that it might be a month from that point. Well, that's only 2 weeks from now. So we don't know. No one has any bloody idea. Like, that's the answer here, is we don't know.
We were told Pascal was going to be ready before the season. We've just seen him in, week 7. So we were told Levi was going to be fit in no amount of time. He's done for the year. Quite frankly, I don't trust a word they say about the injured players at this moment in time. You only trust Jerry because Jerry's all over Twitter announcing it to the world. So you can kind of believe that. You can kind of believe that one. I love Jerry for it. But I just don't trust a word they say when it comes to the injuries and how they're coming back no more. It's like all Dan says about now is he's getting better. Yeah, he's on the road. There's no physical time. There's no nothing about it. And I get he doesn't want to get people's hopes up, but it just seems like the same thing every week. And it's like, well, come on, I'm kind of expecting a bit more than this week on week. He's been running routes for a month now. He's been, training for a while. So he should be getting there. He really should be.
Right, let's talk about... Oh, sorry.
We're also told that they expect Romeo back this season. That is a flat-out lie. Yeah. No one expects Romeo back this season. If Romeo comes back this season and plays a game, I will get some sort of tattoo commemorate it because I think they're full of shit.
I thought you were going to be contributing to the Roar the Lions OnlyFans account if he was, and I'm sure there'd be some people out there who would enjoy that. Let's move on to another slightly depressing topic, but actually one that's a hell of a lot more concerning, and it's this offensive line. If I go through the 5 that played there, we had Decker, Jackson, Ragnow, Brown, and Sewell. On that line, as Ant has been at great pains to point out several times throughout this season, there are 3 first-rounders on it. And there's Jonah Jackson, who has earned a new contract and looks pretty great out there, actually, I have to say personally. The 3 first-rounders, you heard them say on the coverage, one of the best 3 offensive lines in football. That was the rep coming into the season, but it's not been what's happened during the season. Throughout, we've had problems this year with that offensive line. The problems were mainly in pass blocking up to this game, and pass blocking completely went all to hell when it came to the end of this game for the 2 fumbles that Goff had. But actually, run blocking was an issue in this game in 30-40% of the run plays that we had. And in the plays where it worked, it was very, very good. But we hadn't seen it go that badly wrong for some time. And then in the pass blocking, I mean, I know the game was getting away from us, but what happened? What happened, especially to Decker? I mean, Ragnow, I thought, had a reasonable game. Jackson, I thought, had a good game. Sewell had a really good game. But Brown and Decker especially were liabilities out there, not helped by Skipper and Hockenson also being liabilities. The only person who really deserves some modicum of credit, apart from the ones I've just mentioned, is Craig Reynolds. Craig Reynolds went out there and looked like a viable starting running back. He was catching the ball well out the backfield, and he was pass blocking and run blocking really well. But Jamaal was whiffing bad as well. Like, I don't know what's happened, but I've come out of this game wanting Craig Reynolds to potentially become the starting running back if if Swift can't go. And I'm not as far along perhaps with Ant as questioning whether Decker's going to be worth this anymore, which I don't know whether that was overreactions yesterday or not. I'm still a believer in Decker and just feeling that, some people just have bad and good seasons, and on the whole, I think you're going to get more good than bad from him. But it's concerning. I thought this was going to be an upward trend, and it just hasn't been it. This offensive line has problems.
Well, Jamar Jefferson's our best pass blocker. Where the hell's he when these guys can't do the job there? I don't know why he's not getting game time, especially in absentum of DeAndre Swift not playing, but the line itself is concerning. And you're right, I'm not overreacting about Taylor. He's on my list of concern now, and this isn't just an overreaction on one game and that. He's having a bad season, and he was all right last year. He's had the injuries, but he's already given up more sacks, quarterback hits, and pressures than he did last year, and he's played 140 less snaps than he did last season. More sacks, more QB hits, more pressures. He's struggling. And he was injured last year as well. So he's coming back off an injury. He didn't play the first 6, 7 games, whatever it was. So he was coming back hurt, and he was still playing better than he is now when he's meant to be healthier. And as your second highest paid player on this team, which he is, and his contract value is only going to keep going up, which it will, I expect better. You know, Penei Sewell locked up Micah Parsons yesterday. Penei Sewell is amazing this season in both aspects of the game. He is what we wanted him to be and more. And I'm quite pissed that all the headlines today have been about Micah Parsons because he did not get a sniff at Penei Sewell at all. The only time he got a pressure was when Goff dropped back, and that's not Penei's fault. You can't hold him forever, as Evan Brown would know. But I expect better from my franchise left tackle. And I've seen him have these issues before. I had the issues with him before the contract. And you know what? For the most part, he's been really good. But when you are in a team devoid of star players, he is one of the better ones on this team. And so far this year, he's thoroughly underwhelming. And he's had his guard next to him for the most part of it. It's not like there's been a big change of positions with the guy next to him. I know Jonas played a few there, but I don't know. Let's just say he's on the list of concern right now. I expect my left tackle getting paid nearly $20 million a year to be doing better than what he's doing at the moment. And I don't believe in this whole, they have bad seasons, they have good seasons. I need my veterans to be having a good year this year because there's that much young talent in this team. That's how the team develops. And when they're letting you down, something's got to be done. He got ruined by Judon a few weeks ago. He got ruined by Parsons this week. At what point do we start saying, look, hang on, my franchise left tackle should not be getting ruined on a weekly basis by some of these guys, no matter how good they are. I expect him to be as good. And that's because I want him to be.
So the guys in the chat, so it was Big Aries has brought this up. Decker, I believe, had a kid in the last couple of days. And the speculation from him is that potentially he's played worse because effectively his eye has just not been on football this week. But you have a kid, and there are more important things. But just don't play then. Spend some time with your family. There's more important things than football.
Sewell at left tackle.
Yeah. And that's kind of my point. It's like, again, I don't mean to keep ramming the point home, but you've got 3 first-round picks on that line. You invest that many first-round picks into your offensive line so it is the best, so that it protects your quarterback, so that it protects your run game. And Jonah Jackson is now a third-year veteran. We can't call Jonah a rookie anymore. He's a third-year guy who's made a Pro Bowl. He is really good at left guard. So that is 3 first-round picks and a high-caliber left guard who's in his 3rd year. You only got one problem area on that line. You should be doing better. I invest all those picks into that offensive line so that when the league's best pass rush comes at me in Dallas, we can nullify it. Not give away 5 sacks, 5 hits, 5 tackles for loss, more pressures. I don't invest that much in that line for it to disappoint like it did. And that's with Penei playing well. I'm not putting Penei in this. Penei is fantastic and has played fantastic all year. He's holding up his part of the bargain, but the rest of the line is not. And if you're happy with what they're doing, then I've got nothing for you. I don't know how you can invest that much in a line and not expect it to be at the top of its class or near the top of its class and help you win games against any opponent. Every line has a bad week, but this is starting to become a concerning trend now. That's my problem. I'm not going to single out. I'm not one of this, like last year, I wasn't part of the whole trade Decker crowd, trading, whatever. I'm not part of that. I'm not interested in it. But I am interested in holding this team accountable because they had last year as the freebie, because that was a really bad year. Now you've got to start performing, and they are not doing the job they should be. So I will hold you accountable for it. And if Taylor don't start getting better soon and keeps giving up all these sacks and pressures, I'm going to start campaigning for Penei to make that switch now because he is performing. Simple as. I can't give up $20 million a year to a left tackle who ain't doing his job, especially when our cap is so tight at the moment in time.
I think one of the other things as well, and the point has been made in the chat by Big Aries as well, one of the things we saw at the end of last season, which was a massive change from Goff, was that instead of trying to run away from pressure, he was stepping up in the pocket. it was making a massive difference to our protection. One of the reasons why some of those sacks were getting home is that he was trying to run away from the pressure, which everyone knows he can't bloody do. Goff has lost confidence, and he's a confidence quarterback. You can see it by the way that he is trying to run away from that pressure rather than stepping up and delivering a strike. And maybe he doesn't trust his receivers to get it done. But you know what? Bar the fact that Josh Reynolds wasn't seen much in this game, Wright got it done, Hott got it done, and Raymond got it done. So make sure that you have just a quick check down read that you can make it to if you have to. Step up in the pocket and deliver a quick strike if you have to, but don't do what you just did. And as much as I said that the pass blocking wasn't up to scratch, the majority of those sacks, hits and pressures all came in the last 5 minutes of the game or 6 minutes of the game. This wasn't an entire game of Goff getting hit left, right and centre. It didn't go that way. It was 3/4 of Goff having a reasonable amount of time, not throwing some bad picks or whatever, or just not trusting them to throw it down the field, short completions. The game script kind of just wasn't conducive to what happened out there as well. So maybe that is on Ben Johnson, but maybe it's just on injuries to all of the players that we actually rely on in the passing game to move the ball down the field, further to Ant's point about J-Mo not being in there. So it's just a kind of a perfect storm of Goff not trusting the receivers because they're not out there, Goff trying to run away from pressure, and that doesn't do Decker any favours, but Decker should do better for sure. But I think if you're going to credit Jonah Jackson with no longer being a rookie and just saying he is an above average starting left guard, which I think is the lowest point at which he comes in, we've got to tell Decker's not on his rookie deal anymore. We've got to forget that he's a first round pick and call him what he is. And he is, and this is far away from what I said he was last year, but at the moment he is an average starting left tackle in the NFL. And those issues happen often with the starting left tackle in the NFL. Ask the Chicago Bears, they all knew all about it last year with Charles Leno. He is playing at the Charles Leno level, and therefore he is being overpaid for that, and he does need to bring his level up. But we're going to have to expect this, I think, for a few games, because he needs to get out of his slump.
But if he doesn't get out of it next season, you put someone left tackle. You put your best player at the best position.
Yeah.
Like I said, there'll come to a point where it don't matter what he's getting paid. You kick him to right tackle, and if you don't like it and gets in a huff, and tough, you tell him where to go. Like you said, at some point, like you said, there will be that ultimatum had to be made.
And that's why I said at this point, he's a point of concern, not a point of beyond repair. But that's what I mentioned in the chat. It's like, I am genuinely getting concerned about him. You know, like I said, our cap situation's tight, and those who are earning top dollar have to be producing like top dollar guys, because that's the situation we're in. We need it we're not getting it from Jared Goff. You know, that 20.6 million savings looking all the more sweeter by the day at this moment in time, to the point where you almost can't wait to get it, because he ain't performing to a $30 million contract, the cap hit that it is on us. And it's going to be the exact same with all the guys on there. Romeo, we've said, you know, he's injured. He's 14 million against our cap. You know, not worth it. Hal, the same. Brockers, the same. You know, and then you've got to start asking the questions of all these guys. Are they performing how they should be? And right now, he's not. So that's why it is a point of concern. If he rebounds in the second half of the season, I'll retract it. You know, I will. But the offensive line is supposed to be a strength this week. And you've seen it now, Matt, 2 weeks in a row. Judon and Parsons have destroyed us.
Yeah.
Really. And
Parsons didn't. Parsons didn't.
When he turned to the left, he got a sack and 2 QB hits and 3 pressures on the day, I think it was. So it's still, considering he got nothing against Sewell, so he's had a lot of success elsewhere. But what I'm saying is, you know, when you invest in the line, you should expect more of them. And it's not an unreasonable thing to expect from those guys on there. You've got a lot of talent. Even the national media admitted we've got a lot of talent there. So, you know, in those games, when it comes in, like yesterday, you need your line to come. I know you said, you know, a lot of the hits and sacks are late on in the game. Well, that's when your offensive line needs to be at its most clutch, when games are in the balance.
Maybe so, but games weren't in the balance at that point. The game had gone at that point. I just want to have
until the fourth it wasn't. You were
but those sacks and hits weren't coming until late in the fourth, though. They weren't. I want to bring up a point that Ash
That's
brought
worse then.
up.
So what?
Oh.
When the game's over, we'll give up.
Oh, yeah, no, I completely agree. That wasn't great, but that is what happened. And that was a bad look. I hated it. I really did. Just a point from Ash about Goff and the receivers. He said, didn't we see a similar regression in Goff last year when Hawkinson got hurt? With that and what's happened this year with his receivers not being in the game, it suggests that Goff hyper focuses on a couple of guys in camp, and when they're not there, he falls apart in terms of confidence in his head, and he's trying to then run away from pressure when he still needs to step up in the pocket and just trust his guys that they're going to catch the ball. I thought him and Tom Kennedy were going to do something when Sam Morril got out of the game, but that didn't happen either. That's the first time I've seen Tom Kennedy on the field and not actually produce.
But you said yourself, in the first half, he was fine. He was throwing to Hawk, he was throwing to Wright, he was throwing to Kennedy,
Yeah, he was.
Reynolds. So it's not a regret. That's an excuse. You saw in the first half he was fine, absolutely fine making his passes. There was nothing wrong until that first pick got thrown. So we can't use this excuse of, someone's injured and he's regressing, because in that first half he didn't regress. Something happened at halftime. I swear it's the pick that happened, the pick that shouldn't have been, where it just sort of snapped. But we're making excuses. The same with the O-line. It's late in the game, it's garbage sacks, etc. Excuse. We need to start expecting better and demanding better standards. What are we going to do? Just accept this all the time? That's why this team has to. We're at the stage now where we have to start holding the team accountable for some of this stuff. Last year, we didn't, because, it was harsh last year. But you're in year 2 now. You're going to be coming to year 3 soon, and that's when you've got to start making tangible progress as a team. And when your elite units are letting you down, you've got to call it out, because this can't be acceptable anymore. And I have a feeling that Brad Holmes will be feeling the same. I think the end of the season is going to be brutal if it carries on the way it is, because he ain't going to accept this.
Sorry, Ryan, I think we cut you off from before, no?
I mean, that's why for me, Goff has got to go. You can't just base his confidence around a group. Like you say, if you don't have a plan B as a QB and you're suddenly out there all at sea, for what he earns and how experienced he is, it's bad. Like, look at Daniel Jones. He doesn't have Golladay. He's barely got Wandale Robinson. He doesn't have Sterling Shepard, and Kadarius Toney's all walkabout. Right now, the teams are vastly different, but does he make excuses? Does he go out there and look like he's all at sea at times? No, he goes out there and he still puts shift, and he makes mistakes, but at least he looks like he's able to work with what he's got. And I just don't see that from Goff. I just think he looks out there and just thinks, well, where am I going? Where should I go? Who do I trust? You've got to have the same level of faith in Trinity Benson as you do Amon-Ra St. Brown. And that's just got to be, that's just how a QB has got to operate.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Given the situation, Ryan's right. We've got injuries. We can't blame it on injuries.
No.
Next man up. Keep going. You saw in the first half he had no issues. So where did that go? That ain't worth 30 million.
Right. Got a couple more topics for you here. Maybe something a bit more promising. Let's move away from the negativity and focus on the defensive resurgence. Well, I'm sorry, but I don't know what you think. So, coming into this game, at the very start of the broadcast, we heard the immortal line, this Lions defense is allowing 7 yards per play, or 6.8 yards per play, which is the second highest total in NFL history. This is an historically bad offense through 5 games. Defense, thank you. Holding an offense like Dallas, who run the ball quite well. I know that we said in the pre-game that we weren't that worried about their run game, but it is one of our weak points, run defense. The fact that we held their run game, the fact that we forced them to punt 5 times compared to none against New England or whatever the bloody hell it was. The fact that they scored loads of garbage time points, and actually this game was very competitive throughout most of the game. Like, this defense did come up and did play big, especially some of the rookies. Okuda, especially, best game of his career. He was all over the field making plays. Deshaun Elliott was scaring the life out of some of those Cowboys with how hard he hit them. Pascal came in, played 90% of snaps in his first NFL game and looked like a force out there. I thought that bar a couple of players, it looked really good. Kirby was laying down some hits and didn't look like a liability in coverage, which he had done before. Hutchinson was making plays and making use of himself. He got moved to rush defensive end, and he looked like he was doing the business. The one guy I thought looked really out of place was AJ Parker. I don't want to focus on the negativity, but in coverage, he was not good. He was matched up with CeeDee Lamb quite a lot, and that is a hiding to nothing for
Why?
UDFA. Well, because Dallas were moving him about and exploiting the matchup, and there's nothing we could do about that. We played a lot.
Should have been on the field.
Yes, he shouldn't have been on the field, but we played a lot of zone coverage as well. I don't know if you guys noticed that in the game, but for a team that's playing 55% man coverage, we fundamentally changed that quite a lot, and I think that's one of the things that led to an improved defensive performance, was a bit more zone coverage. Ignoring AJ Parker, improvement everywhere, boys. We got to take the celebrations where we can. Come on.
So, no argument with any of that. What I take is when you go defensive resurgence. Resurgence means that, you've come back from a very far place behind and you're doing it consistently. Let's not try and, that is short-termism. You have a go at me at short-termism. One game does not make a resurgence. We could go to the Dolphins next week and get slaughtered. You saw the way they started against the Steelers defense.
Consider resurgence withdrawn. What would you like me to call it? Improvement?
Good defensive performances from the players at this moment in time. Individual performances as of yesterday.
That's a bit of a mouthful compared to one word. Come on, man.
But still, I'm trying not to do this whole short term. I don't want to go resurgence just yet.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
What was better was the defense. The defense was better. The individual performances were very good. Pascal surprised me. I'm not going to lie. I thought Pascal might take a bit of time to adjust to the league, and that goes all the way back to when me and Ryan were doing college scouting reports last year. He wasn't high on, he wasn't the top guy on either of all this because there's a lot he needs to work on. But he came in yesterday and was really damn good, and I'm really pleased with that, and it's great. In terms of the other rookies, Kirby looked really good. You got the forced fumble out of him there. You do have to hold the pick against him. He will not get an easier chance for a pick in his life, and he should have held on to it, and that could have been big for us. But what can you do? Stupid mistakes. It's part of this thing. But overall, the defense was really good. We schemed it up differently. Hutch was better. Everyone seemed a bit more inspired, and that's really good. But it needs to become consistent, and that's the issue I have. I just don't. I don't want us to go around just making these grandiose claims about it. And that's all. I'm trying to temper expectations here until we these things, consistency is the name of the game this year. What we want to see from this team, we saw the spurts last season. We saw the little bits here and there where they were getting better. What you need to do now is see it consistently for this team to carry on progressing to where it wants to go. So defense was really good. I was pleased with it. Aleem is looking really good. I was watching specifically for him today, because people seem to have been ragging on him a bit recently. He's playing really damn well at this moment in time. Really damn well. Really happy with him. And now Pascal's in to help him, someone who can actually run block and help him. He looks better already, which is why we drafted these guys. On the edge, we look better in general. I mean, Julian and Austin are still missing. We've not really mentioned that, but those two are still in the bad books at this moment in time because they're not doing nothing. And we're going to have to address that in the long run. But for the most part, it was better. The rookies were good, and that's positive. But just let's hold the brakes a little on celebrating a resurgence until they do it 2 or 3 times in a row. And we see that this is not just a flash in the pan against what, frankly, was an awful Cowboys team this one.
Yeah. Sorry, I've been frantically replying to people on YouTube. There's a lot of chat going on in there about how to improve this team. Any more chat on the defense? Ryan, any thoughts on the defensive? I'll call it improvement for want of a better word.
I saw factors that were night and day before the bye after. Like, Hutch looked so much better in his 2-point stance and didn't have his hands in the dirt. Like he looked faster, he looked more ready, he looked more aggressive. We saw that delightful spin move finally make its appearance, like for the first time this season. Like he'd gone out there with a bit more into his arsenal, like he knew he'd have to work a little bit harder. I'd say good, solid performances across the board. Like you say, the guys, the rookies, Pascal had three great quarters. He just ran out of gas, but that's to be expected because he's been thrown back in quickly. But across the board on defense, I was very happy. And they only scored 2 points in the end because probably they were knackered because the offense kept turning the ball over and they just played a large majority of the game. And you just can't ask your defense to do that much, unfortunately. Odd chance of a turnover. I think those will come. I've seen a jump from Kirby. Like you say, he did look exploited a few times early on in the season, but a solid out in there against a team that had some, I'd say, actual weapons. The Cowboys do boast a plethora of weapons on the offense, and for the majority of it, we kept them fairly quiet. Like say, CD Lamb and AJ Parker, awful matchup, but what can you do? Like you say, that they moved him and dragged him around. But yeah, if we go out and the defense can play the majority of what we've seen against Miami, we've got a good chance to be in the game for some point of the stretch. So yeah, I will make my final judgments on the defense again next week. Can it be replicated? Can they play with that much ferocity and juice and energy again? That is what I'll see, a consistency level. Because if they go out next week and just look gassed, like they gave all after the bye, I'll be back straight into the back to square one again. So we'll see.
And can we just send out like a big, and I'm going to swear here, so apologise to those of you who are, but can we send out a big collective fuck you to anyone who's used the term bust next to Jeffrey Okuda's name as well, please? Because Mr. Jeffrey Okuda is having a wonderful season, quite frankly, at this point. In all aspects of his game, he saved a touchdown with that big leap he made. I don't know where the hell he came from on that one, but there was a goal line stand where he like jumped like in Superman and saved a touchdown on there. He was aggressive at the line of scrimmage again, getting in the backfield again, great in coverage again, tackling like a machine all day long. This is why when a guy has been out injured predominantly for 2 years, and yes, I know I have issues with guys like that, you don't give up on them. At least give them a chance when they come back. And I'm not going to say it yet, but he's starting to get towards the level of production you expect from what you spent on him in a draft. He is getting there. And, this is why you back your players, especially when they've been through what he had to go through. And it's wonderful to see. We so badly needed this. Can you imagine if he wasn't fit this season? I mean, it bears not thinking what this secondary would be like without him there now. So,
yeah,
you just can't do no but give him props week on week at this moment in time.
I mean, so his tackling grade this year so far is 84 average, which is just incredible, really. Like you say, best game of his career. 86.1 grade per PFF. Just to go through a couple of those PFF stats on offense, Wright led the way with 78.6, Hawk 73.9, Khalif Raymond 73.8, Evan Brown 72.9. Really? Frank Ragnow 71.3. Those round out the top five. Top five on defense. Jeff Okuda 86.1. Aiden Hutchinson 78.1. Derek Barnes 74.8. Deshaun Elliott 70.2. All your 70 graded players or above. Those first three on the defense, the first or second year players. It's just absolutely shocking, really, that's what we're doing here. But, there we go. Anzalone is hard done by being down right at the bottom at 36.5 because he was all over it, creating havoc, getting half a sack, making some really good tackles, and he makes one screw up in coverage and he gets 2 penalties and that ranks him down at the bottom. But I thought he had a good game.
It's 6 on 6 on receptions. 70 odd yards, 2 penalties. You expect better from your senior linebacker. I know people are saying that one of them was like a hold that shouldn't have been or whatever. But, I know. Let's be positive. He had a good day. I'm not going to, let's be positive. He had a good day, but we need more consistent and a lot better from him. It's encouraging seeing Barnes up there. Now, I know he only got 18 snaps, but baby steps. Barnes has had some time away from the team. He's been pulled away from his first team duties. And I said at the time I had no problem with that. If it was a case of he's been thrown in the fire a bit too early, you need some fine tuning, you get him back in, a bit more confidence in him when he's had some time away, that's fine. And he came in this one and did well on his 18. So hopefully now we can start, that's like a little performance we can build on, give him a few more snaps next game, and then a few more this game after that, and then just keep reintegrating him into this team, and hopefully the play carries on. Because, I mean, hell, we need it badly. If we can sort of recover Barnes by the end of this season and get him playing well consistently, nearly on the cusp of a starting role again, then that's going to be a fantastic job from the coaching staff. So I'd say it's baby steps, but it's positive. And we're looking for positives. There's one.
Right, boys, this has been quite cathartic. Anything else you want to get off your chest before we round this one up?
Yeah. Fuck Tony Romo. Shit commentator. You're a fucking douchebag. Talks absolute bollocks. How is he allowed to commentate on Cowboys games? He just can't put his bias away. He took any shot he could at the Lions. Everything was tongue in cheek. Like, fucking waste, man. Like, he can fuck right off. If we get him again, I will be unhappy.
Come on, Matt. You've got to do one now, Matt. I've done one for Akuda haters. He's done one for Romo. Who are you saying the F word to today?
So I just want to say to all you guys out there called Stephen Collins who haven't managed to make your internet work today, can I just say, for taking the bet against me that you think the Packers will make the playoffs and losing to a team that we beat. We beat Washington, and the Packers lost. I'm going to say fuck you to the Packers. I'm going to say fuck you to Steve Collins because you do not believe in the greatness that is FTP.
He's a part-timer. Steve. Where are you?
I know. Yeah. He's meant to be here and he's not, so.
And he's a Man United fan, so.
I don't know. It's tough to know what to feel at the moment, I think is the point we're at. I don't know. How do you feel about the season now? It's just, will we resetting the expectations? Are we just starting from scratch again here? Or, I don't know.
I've already had my take on this on Saturday. Ryan, what do you think?
I feel like my preseason prediction was not unrealistic. I feel like health-wise, it's a bit of a shit show, like you say. Things outside of our control have happened, but things we have been able to control, we have not capitalised on. We have not played a complete game of football this season. We have not played 4 quarters of complementary football all season. Away from home as well, like you say, we're now Campbell's got no wins. We're like 11-1 or 12-1 on the road. Like you say, things when we leave Ford Field, the team just looks different. They just look like a totally different side that I don't recognise the majority of the time. That is the one thing that probably bothers me the most right now. If this team can get 4 or 5 wins and pick in the top 3, unfortunately, I'll have to say that's a good result. And that really pains me to say, unfortunately. But right now, I am tempering expectations all over. And one eye is on the season, and my other bog eye is on the draft board. Like I said, I'm not fully focused on the draft yet. There's a lot of football to be played. But I am starting to decide who I want and what direction we should go in. I'm very much looking towards the trade deadline next week at being sellers. I think that we've got pieces that aren't going to be here, and we should try and move if the price is right.
So, I think that in this season, and I mean, for me, it ain't about moral victories, and it ain't about, oh, we're near 500. It's kind of playoffs or bust, and it just always is. If you're not making the playoffs, finishing 8 and 9 is just no playoffs and shit draft position. Like, you're having the worst of all worlds. Now, I'm not saying that I want to go 2 wins on the season to get a great draft pick. That's not it either. I'm never going to root for the Lions to lose a game, ever. Winning is always good. But in some form or fashion, being mediocre, as we talk about when we talk about the Vikings so lovingly, is the worst place to be. And I'd rather, in some ways, just sell at the deadline for some of the pieces, like Ryan said, that we're not going to have here long term, and say, you know what, let's get the guys out there and see what we have in them. And that's what we did last year, and that gave us a good draft position, but no one gave up either. That wouldn't be the worst place to be. I spoke to Ant on Saturday in the preview show about rebasing our expectations, and I think because we recorded it so late, a lot of people won't have listened to that because they just didn't have a chance before the game. So I'm just going to reiterate the point that I was saying to him and to the other guys in the Discord earlier. This Lions team, as it stands, even with a good draft and a good free agency, is likely not making the playoffs next year. And I think everyone needs to accept that now. This is a team picking, as it stands, number 1 overall in this draft. To ask that team to get to the playoffs next year is optimistic at best, and at worst it's typical Lions Kool-Aid chugging person. That's me too, by the way. That's who I am on this podcast, is that Kool-Aid chugging guy. So, don't think that I don't see the irony in this, but we need to go, right, okay, if the Lions aren't making the playoffs next year, and that's year 3 of this regime, we need to decide right now whether we're going to give them a 4th year. So, let's say next year we get 7 wins. 6 wins, 7 wins. We get 5 this year, we get 7 next year. Because I think that's roughly achievable. Do we give them a 4th year? If we give them a 4th year, if win that 5 and 7 wins, we still believe in the project, Campbell is improving as a head coach, our coordinators are doing a better job as we come through and they develop along with the team, and we can see a 4th year happening in that circumstance, I'm absolutely fine for us to carry on as we are. If, in that circumstance, we should go, it's been 3 years, you've had enough time, it's not good enough, thank you and goodbye, which a lot of teams would do, well, that's my expectation for what's happening right now. If that's the expectation, if that's what's likely to happen, fire everyone now. Just do it. Like, let's get someone to come in relief as head coach in the interim for the rest of this season, see what happens in the off-season, because other people might get fired that we want to bring in. There is no point flogging a dead horse. If the average expectation for next year is not good enough to see the team being retained, you do not have to do another year of this, going down the track on a regime that is, dead man walking. We could instead take neutral views, not make decisions that another head coach won't like, and just start again next year. But if it is good enough for them to get that 4th year, let's stop pretending this is year 2. Because it wasn't year 1 last year. That team was so bad. It was year 0. This is year 1. This is year 1, and we need to rebase our expectations, realise that this is actually just a bad team, again, playing okay, but not great. Offense overperforming early. Defense now maybe might do better down the stretch. Let's find out. I don't know. It depends on your faith in Dan Campbell generally, but people need to get their head out their backside thinking that this team deserves better, because it doesn't. It doesn't. It's not playing good enough to do that. Change your expectations, and you're going to be happier for it. If you go in expecting a win against these guys, you're going to be sorely mistaken. And I'm sorry, at home against the Miami Dolphins, a team that beat the bloody Buffalo Bills, and we're 4-point underdogs, we're going to lose by 20. It's going to be awful next week.
Wow, my Kool-Aid's been soured now. I'd like been optimistic for this week, but
why? What do you think we're going to do against Waddle and Hill?
Yeah, no, you're right. But that's the thing.
And Gesicki. Ryan said it'd be good if Gesicki's gone. He's damn right. He's going to tear us a new one.
That's kind of what's. So it's when I'm coming out of games that I just don't know how to feel, and that's bad because. Like last year, I always felt good about last year, especially when we started winning games. Now I'm just like, I'm struggling to stay the course right now because, and I ask the question all the time, what tangibly have you seen from this team this season that will translate into year 3? And you and I both answered this last week, Matt, and we said nothing really outside of the development of the rookies, which is fine. But there are, like last year, the culture. That's a tangible you take into year 2 with you. You establish your culture year 1. It takes time, it takes a year, then you've got it. The scrappiness of the players, them getting better as the season went on. Tangible progress you take forward. I mean, I didn't see anything from that game this week that's changed my view, which is like concerning. Coaching, I'm still out on. I don't know. And, I want to kind of be getting a barometer on my coaching now. I want to start being able to definitively say, yes, I see it going long term, or no, I don't. Like you said, now, do we fire them all now? Whatever. I don't see that. Do I see, the team, the mentality changing, learning how to win games, learning how to take that next step forward from just being scrappy underdogs? No, I don't see that. We blew the game against the Vikings. We kind of blew this one when we had opportunities to do so. You're not seeing that mentality go from scrappy underdog to potential winner. And then, there's the player development. And yeah, the players are developing, but that's like literally the only thing you can take forward at the minute. And is that good enough for a year 3 or a year 2? But with a year 0 still in there. I just don't know at this moment in time. I like my answer at the minute really is leaning towards no, but I don't want it to be because I still believe in Campbell and I want to believe in Campbell and I want to believe in this build. Last thing I want to do is start from scratch again, but I have to look hand on heart and say, what can I see that will benefit this team next year? I don't know. Did your mind change? Did you see anything over the weekend that, changed your view from no?
Yeah, I think I did. I think I saw the glimmer of a yes. Do you know what I mean? Like you said, in terms of it not being a short-term thing, I saw 5 games of no real uptick. Like, the offense was doing better, but there were mitigating circumstances for that, as I discussed before. Yesterday was the first time that I'd seen AG realise that there was a problem with his defence and fundamentally change what he was doing to good effect. It was the first time I'd seen that on the defensive side of the ball. Offense, we could move the ball between the 20s. It's not great, but I mean, we didn't even do badly offensively against New England. I don't think that he's a problem. I do have more confidence in the coaching staff today than I did on Saturday. Yes.
Fair.
I mean, not a lot. I'm not going to say it's a lot, but I'm saying it's a stepping stone.
I'm not critiquing. That's it's just where we're all at the minute. I'd say for the name of the game for me is consistency. If they do this consistently, then this is a net positive to take forward next year. Absolutely, it is. I just can't commit to it right now when it's in dribs and drabs. But if we can find a way to nullify that Miami offense next week, or at least keep it in check, then you start thinking, oh, hang on, you know what here? AG does know what he's doing. Well, AG is making the adjustments. This team is fighting. It looks like, this is what we want to see. If by the end of the year, the coaches, even if we're not winning games, but even if they're making the adjustments and giving us a chance to win games, that's a good thing going forward. And that's something you can get behind going into year 3. So that's all it is with me at the minute. It's trying to find the consistency. Right now, it's not there. And so it can't be a positive just for me personally.
Everyone feeling better? A little bit?
I need a hug.
Yeah. Someone hold me. Yeah. Something quite cathartic about these Monday shows. I know it's rough sometimes, but it's better than holding it inside.
I think it is. I think, it was after, what was it? I think after the Patriots one, I kind of let a lot of it go. I think I was frustrated because, after the Vikings won, we could have made a statement in conference this year. We could have made like a big statement going forward. And I think we all just kind of grasped to the concept that we might be able to do something this year. And I think after the Patriots won, it's kind of, you know what? Yeah, this team ain't it yet. It's not there. It's not got the talent. It's not got the belief. And I did let a lot of it go. So it is a bit better to do. I think coming out of a Sunday not angry anymore. I'm not angry. I wasn't angry yesterday. I was just disappointed, and in a way, that's better. At the minute, like I said, I don't know where I'm at, so it's fine. Maybe now we just enjoy the Sundays we've got. Hopefully, they do some good stuff, make us happy, give us some high moments, and then just crack on like that for now.
Right. Should we draw this to a close, folks?
Yeah.
Right.
Why not?
That's the end of this one. Our next show is going to be probably the College Football Podcast, which is going to be a really good one. Great week of college football. You'll need to check that out. The next show on the main podcast, this coming Thursday, it's the Dolphins preview show. Really optimistic about that one if you don't know already. Otherwise, please don't forget to follow us on Royal Lions UK on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And the group for worldwide fans is Detroit Lions Fans UK One Pride Worldwide. If you're not a member of that group, you want to get in there. There's some really good stuff from guys who are going to the games, tailgating, having a great time, repping the Lions, the UK, and worldwide. A bit of news from the Lions, actually, just before we go. The Lions have once again waived Maurice Alexander, the wide receiver. He's coming and going more than Dan Skipper, and that is not a compliment. You can see our articles on roarthelionsuk.com. Ash doing some great work there with the preview write-ups, so you need to go and see that before each game. As always, don't forget to subscribe and rate us 5 stars if you can, and please do smash that like button on your way out on YouTube. That would be a big help to us. Just thank you to everyone for listening. The guys on the live doing all the comments as we go is really, really good fun to read in Twitch and YouTube, and you guys on the audio pod, you're the best. Love you guys. To Ant and Ryan, it's been cathartic as always. Let's hope for better this time next week. Otherwise, here we go again. Let's go, Lions. One pride, and fuck Aaron Rodgers.
FTP. And I hope the Bears get slaughtered later.
Recording stopped.
We are still live, but just stop recording.
And I hope the Bears get slaughtered later.
Yeah.
I'll just use it for both.
Yeah.
I started to say it twice.
Sorry, if you're logging off or not logging off, then we still do remain live at least for a little bit just to chat. I know that Ryan normally pops off maybe to walk Hank or something. Hank was particularly active in the early, and I couldn't handle it. I was pissing myself with him giving you such jip early on. I thought we were going to get him through your microphone.
No, yeah. He's proper on one side. He's sat below me staring at me.
He truly is the 8th member of the pod.
He's the most popular member of the college football pod.
He's the best
By a long
looking
way.
member as well. This bastard.
That bit mean to me and Ryan, that is.
Hank is great. I love it.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
Come on, then.
I don't
Right,
like
sir.
being
I'll
like,
speak to you guys soon.
all right, I'll see you later in the week, right? For college.
Yep, I'll see you guys.
Where we can be happy.
See you, Ryan.
Look after yourself. Bye.
I am
don't
going
like
to...
being... Go
Sorry.
on.
I'm just going to say, I'm going to try for a Dolphins guy. So Grandizer was talking about trying to get someone on, which I really want to do. Being a part of the Discord for the Draft Network, I know that the guy who runs the Draft Network is a Dolphins fan who does Locked On Dolphins. Now, obviously, he's super busy. But I'm going to try for him and see whether that happens, because that would be cool. He was the guy I wanted to get on for you guys for the college show, because getting the founder of the Draft Network on would be pretty cool. But
I'm gonna start looking at it eventually. The thing is that I have so much to put into shows. I'd have to do 2 shows a week, really.
Yeah.
And that is just not within my purview at the minute. I can't be doing 2 shows a week.
Well, we can put it in the main show then. I mean, the thing is, our previews and reviews don't have to last that long, you know?
I mean, when the season's over, maybe. You know, for now, we're doing the orders and that, but I'm trying to find ways to put in, but I'm going to try and go over there and find some guests eventually, but for now,
yeah,
just go keep it the
when
way
the
it
shows
is.
last 2.5, 3 hours, it's a bit
That's
much.
it. And when you're doing a separate interview, because you're probably going to do it for one singular team, you might get, I don't know, in Tennessee, fan on or something like that. You're going to chat about them. You're going to do their whole team, and then you've got to do your whole show as well. So
yeah,
it's just a bit of a pain in the arse trying to get guests on for that, unless they're going to come and like do the whole show with you. And even then, having a third member on when there's 2 of us to chat about it all takes time. So
yeah.
It'll be something to do eventually, maybe. But certainly during draft time, as soon as the season's over, I'll start getting guests on. So, I mean, there's only 5 weeks of college left now, and then bowls and that, but we're going to have ample time to do guests and stuff after that. So that'll probably be when we get guests on for it.
That's fair. I just want to make it big. If we have to do it in the main show, then I think that I can make that happen, and I think we can talk about it just about. I think that it's more about.
To be honest, we got more views on that Saturday morning show, which I was surprised with, because obviously the Americans aren't up then. So I have more live viewers for that one.
More live viewers, but a lot less audio plays, unfortunately. At least for the preview show for the Sunday game.
Trouble is, it came out like 5 hours before the next slate of college games began. That's why we do it midweek, to give it 3 or 4 days to digest. So it was always going to be the case there. But I have more people watching. So, I'll have to find something with it and find a sweet spot eventually.
Yeah, thanks to everyone in the chat for making it really active, especially on YouTube today. It was going at a rate of knots. It was hard to keep up, although I do love it. I actually took my eye off the ball from the conversation a couple of times because I was typing away frantically trying to get in there. But it's a rough one. I've got my ticket up for sale for this Sunday because I just can't afford to go, and I'm just hoping it's going to go. I've got no reason to want to go and see Trevor Lawrence against maybe Russell Wilson, and if it is Russell Wilson, that's probably the worst of the two Denver quarterbacks it could be. So,
yeah, it's save the money for Detroit next year.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, I've already paid for the ticket because I have a season ticket there, and I wanted to preserve that, and I thought I'd go anyway because how often do you get to see live NFL games? But I literally can't afford the train up and back because of my holiday, and so I'm not going to force it when I don't even want to watch the game, really.
No need to do that.
No, and it means that I can watch the Lions game and live stream. Do you see we had 800 views for the live stream yesterday?
I'll be available this week, so I can come on and do it with you this week.
Be great.
I'm getting annoyed. Work's keeping me late on Sunday, so I can't do my Twitch streams. I love doing my Twitch streams, and I'm struggling to do them at the minute because I don't have time to do it at work. Watch the game, and the bosses aren't generally pleased when I've got the NFL on at work, but screw them. But I can't do the tweet as well, so I'm nice to have a weekend off.
Yeah, would be good. Oh man, I fear for the Dolphins game. I really do. They have an adequate run game. The O-line isn't great, but they have an adequate run game. They've got a quarterback who's ascending. They've got an elite group of wide receivers and pass catchers, and that defense is frisky.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't like being this guy. I don't like being this negative guy on here, but
you do over-egg it a little bit when you go there, but you over-egg it positively or negatively. It's part of your personality. You do.
I do not.
You do.
I do not. Give over.
How
often am I negative?
No, but I'm saying positively or negatively. I'm just saying that you're a passionate guy who likes to put his view across. That's what I mean. And it's a good thing.
It is, but I don't know. I don't like being the negative guy. There comes a point where you have to start not being negative, but you have to start having expectation. Maybe I just jumped the gun a little bit too quick on this team. Maybe it was too soon, but who knows? I mean, yeah, the Dolphins are good, but the Dolphins have been fallible this season as well. So, I mean, when I saw the first quarter of last night, I was terrified. But then they got shut out, and yes, the Steelers have a much better and much more experienced defense than we do. But for a potential play call, Aaron Glenn will watch those those last 3 quarters, and he will see fallibility in that offense. He'll see a blueprint of how to stop them. So I would at least like there to be a case where we at least put our rookies in favorable positions to work against the better offense. Because as I always say, a team that is fundamentally sound and well-disciplined can level the playing field against a better team because you're doing the fundamentals right, because you are keeping it disciplined. You're not giving them help. You're not giving away silly penalties. You're not busting your coverages. You're not giving them easy hits down the field. You're making them work for everything. And sometimes an offense will crumble under that, especially when Tua's coming back from concussion. I mean, I was reasonably happy with the defensive line yesterday. We landed some hits on Dak. We made him uncomfortable, and that was a positive sign. if you can land some hits on Tua, then he's not 100% healthy. I don't care what they say with him playing and that. He's not 100% healthy, especially when you've taken those sort of knocks. So if you just shake him up a little bit, shake his nerves, shake his confidence, then you have an opening in a game. You do.
Yeah, it's
And the
just
defense has
we've
flattered to
historically had
deceive.
such problems against quarterbacks like
We
Tua,
have.
though, and like Teddy. You knock Tua
We
out of the
have.
game, it gets even worse. Teddy's going to rip us a new one.
But we've never had a pass rush. And that kind of
Pascal was such a benefit. I can't
He
express
was.
how happy I was to see him do well.
He was. And like I say, I was pleasantly surprised. I still think in the long run, it's going to take time with him. It absolutely is. But there was always going to be an immediate impact to the run game when he came in.
Yeah.
And you saw that. So the pass rushing will come. And he did get some pressure on the game as well, which was good.
The thing is,
So
in the run game, if you can rely on him, you can rely on Hutch, and you can rely on McNeil. The run game's going to be sorted, and if Pascal has to be accounted for in blocks in the pass game, or it affects play action as well, because obviously play action, they do the run blocking style. Well, if Pascal's giving it the business on that, then that's going to affect him there as well. So,
and that's the thing that Aleem's needed is a good partner. Last year he was saddled with them two oaks who play with him at DT. Thankfully, one of them ain't here no more. And this year, you're pairing him with guys who, outside of Kaminsky, have not really done out with him. Now that you can put Pascal in there with him, an offensive line has a choice to make. Do you double team the great big nose tackle and then leave yourself one-on-one with Pascal, who's the younger, more athletic guy who can get pressure readily more one-on-one? Or do you have to deal with the pass rushing threat, which is Pascal over McNeil, and Aleem can pass rush? So if you leave him one-on-one with a vulnerable center or a guard, he will get pressure. He will make things happen. And that's the dynamic he's so missed. He's not had his high draft picks to play alongside him to utilize the most of his game.
yeah. Grandize has just made the point in the chat saying Miami's O-line is not very good out of Armstead and Robert Hunt. Connor Williams is playing center.
Armstead's injured, isn't he?
I thought he was too, but it says Connor Williams is playing center but is a way better left guard as well. So that could be something for McNeil to exploit.
Exactly. And that's why we've so badly needed these guys back to be able to fully utilize his ability. There's been nothing wrong with how Aleem's been playing. He's just not had support in the middle at all. So even the best nose tackles are going to be on a hide into nothing. And he's a second-year rookie.
Yeah.
He's not Kenny Clark who can do it on his own yet. He will be in due course. He will be as good as him. And now Pascal's back. It will help. And it's just a shame Levi can't be in there with them. You can see what Brad Holmes was trying to do with this team in the picks he made. Levi is the pass rushing specialist. Pascal is more the run blocking specialist. Rotate them in and out with Aleem. You see what he's trying to do with this team. So I'll never knock him making the picks for that. It's just unlucky with injuries. But, we've waited 7 games. We've got Pascal now. All of a sudden, we're looking at the draft pick a lot differently. Like, hang on, this is going to do us going forward. It's like with Jameson Williams. We will very soon like the pick. And it's just trying not to get sucked in by that instant gratification aspect of things. You see other people's rookies playing well, etc. You're like, well, why can't I have mine? Well, just take your time. Jameson is critical to this team. You've seen the go on.
Talking about Jameson, why is Maurice Alexander getting waived when there's no pressure on a spot on the roster? Someone's coming back, or someone's getting signed, or someone's getting signed from the practice squad. There's no reason to get rid of him otherwise. Is JMO coming back?
Who's eligible now, though?
Let me have a look over the cap just to see who's.
We bought Jerry and Pascal back. They were the only 2 eligible last week. I mean, I think JMO is eligible. I think they're all eligible now, aren't they?
So Vaitai could come back, but we know that he's
out for
done,
the year.
and Walker's done, and Levi's done. Cephas?
He's not been out long enough.
He has. He was gone week 3, I think. Oh, so hang on. Week 4, 5, and 7. Okay, he'll be eligible to return after the next game.
Yeah, I was about to say he's not ready yet.
Kramer?
no's been said about him.
No. And then you've got
Literally
Savion Smith and
nothing.
Greg Bell who's done. So there's no one else. Oh, hang on. Pup list is Kabinda, Aquara.
They said Jason's close.
So it could be Jason and Jameson on NFI.
So they've said, I mean, Campbell was saying Kabinda was really close. So that could be it. I don't know. I don't know what the line is they're taking with Jameson. Are they tempering expectations by not saying? Because usually it's like with Jerry. They said, "Oh, he's going to be back very soon." They've not. They've been very careful with their words here. So are they just going to suddenly announce one day, "Oh, JMO's back," or are they going to ramp up the rhetoric? In the weeks before he's back? Because at the minute, the rhetoric's not changed.
The thing is, they don't have to activate anyone until Saturday. They waited until Saturday to activate everyone they had to activate, and they waived people on Friday or made roster moves on Friday to make room on Saturday.
Do that. You always do that, don't you? Though, really, you give it the whole week to see how players are doing.
Yeah, but then why?
Premature.
But why waive someone on Monday then?
Unless it's just to get him through waivers. Because if you go through a full week of practice, someone gets injured on another team, they need a kick returner, and you're putting through waivers. Maybe they're just very active about this.
But haven't you caused the same problem here? People get injured on Sunday, player gets waived on Monday. That's the same problem.
Possibly.
I don't know. It's a weird situation where it feels like you're only creating that gap to fill it with someone else, and I just don't know who it is. So
trade market's active.
Oh God!
We're in the last week of trade. I still say that I know it's not the consensus thing, but Brad Holmes doesn't strike me as a consensus guy. Brad Holmes is an aggressive guy who will go out and find his talent. I still think he's looking for somebody, and I think you have to look for somebody if the value's right. But you've at least got to try. You can't sit on your hands till the draft and do nothing. That is the worst thing to do at this moment for him.
Yeah, it is.
So
it is.
Maybe it's just in preparation for possibly someone off the tree. If you need to get someone in, you need to get them in quick. You've got the roster spot available. It's there. Get them in. Who knows? But I don't think we're 100% sellers this coming week. I really, really don't.
No, I don't see it being this week either. But the thing is, it has to be someone. He's eligible. It's the same position. It's him, or there's a hole at wide receiver or a kick returner. Like
Kabinda plays receiver. Got a receiving touchdown last year.
Yeah, but
oh come on, Jason Kabinda's biggest super fan. You should be bigging him up here.
I am going to big him up, but not to replace the receiver on the team. He can replace someone else.
Who?
I don't know anyone else.
Oh, anybody else? Literally anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I would.
We'll waive Frank Ragnow and then bring Jason in.
We could waive Coyote Awasaka. We could waive Tom Kennedy. We could waive Anthony Pittman. We could waive.
See, that's how I know it's not Kramer, because Coyote would go otherwise.
Yes,
that would be the
corresponding move. We could waive Dan Skipper because no one needs that guy.
I don't know. Is there a receiver we've not called up in a while?
Practice squad receivers: Brandon Zylstra.
Oh, we've got Arizona. We've got Stan Thingy the Third. Our favorite Twitter correspondent.
Stanley Berryhill.
Stanley Berryhill. We've got Stanley Berryhill on there.
Are you sure it's not Barry Stanley Hill?
No, it's Stanley Berryhill.
I prefer Barry Stanley Hill, to be honest. I don't know why.
That sounds like a very posh English name, that does. Or maybe down your neck of the woods down south. Yeah, you're posh, so maybe that's why.
Sir. Josh Johnson?
I would love it. Still think he's got a lot to offer.
Who the hell is Ross Perschbacher?
I tell you what, isn't he, he's tight end, isn't he?
Centre, apparently.
Oh, centre. Josh Johnson would be a good shout in this team at the minute. Probably a bigger deep field threat than anyone we've got at the minute. He was at Tulsa.
Yeah.
Ankle snapper.
Drop problems, though, didn't he have?
Oh, we had a few, but nothing major.
Yeah. Right, I think I'm going to call it a night and get this episode cut and on tonight, because Well, damn, I want some sleep, and it was not a good sleep last night, I tell you that.
I cried myself to sleep. So
Yeah, did you actually?
no, I've never let Chesterfield do it to me, and I wouldn't. Have I let Chesterfield cry me to sleep? No, I've been close, but if I can do it with Chesterfield, I can do it with the Lions.
I haven't done it with Liverpool. Went up to Liverpool for the Champions League final against Madrid, and I was just proud of the lads. That didn't sink me. And when Yeovil got relegated from the Football League, I wasn't.
See,
Like...
most times when Town have been relegated, I've been too drunk to cry when I go to bed. So, hey ho.
Oh,
That's how
I'm
you-
always drunk when I do this anyway. Right.
Oh, I've got some of that blood orange cider in tonight. So
Oh,
having
yes.
that next.
Or if
Yeah.
you in the chat have never had the pleasure of Thatcher's blood orange cider, you are missing out on something in your life. It is good shit. Really good shit. Right. We're going to wrap it up there, folks. Thanks for sticking around with us for the extra time. Hope you had a great weekend. We will see you on Wednesday, Thursday, what have you. Hope you have a great work week, and we will see you for the game as well on Sunday. Have a good one. We'll see you soon.